You hear me, Peabody? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let's do this, man. Let's do it.
You hear me loud?
Yep, we are live.
Okay. Well, guys, welcome again to the closing argument, a special edition of the closing argument. Today is Saturday, February 24th, 2024, and we are live on the closing argument, a special edition. We should be having as our guest tonight the Minister of Commerce and Industry, the Honorable Amin Modat. We're discussing with us his 100 days deliverables and also his vision for the Ministry of Commerce, how he intends to ensure the Liberalization Policy, Liberalization Act is enforced, and to also empower Liberian businesses, and also to make sure that the issue about goods and tariffs are all addressed. Mr. Mudar will give us a vision for the ministry, President honor his leadership. Look forward to having a very civil and respectful and honest discussion with the minister tonight. So, in the meantime, so with the minister to come on, we just try to just give some just um, thoughts about what's going on, what's trending, and everything as relates to our country. I'm happy that for me, I'm happy that I was able to take my daughter today, my 16-year-old, to get her driving permit, and she's so excited. But once you get excited, they're excited, but you worried because she coming inside driving car, and she wants to start driving quickly. So, but that's part of life in this America, so we gotta accept it. Peabody, man, what's up? I thought you said you're going to Dummer Valley. I was there earlier, my man.
I had to run late. Did some work on my car, trying to change the oil, and then it lasted a little long, so I couldn't make it. But yeah, hopefully I'll try to make my way there next week. I wanted to go there really bad because I like the Doma that they fix on that side, but I'm just too busy. I couldn't make it. So what's up? But I'm doing good. Everything is good. Looking forward to see and hear the Minister of Commerce. I used to be in
I'm here.
industry.
I'm here. They said they are backstage, but I can see them, bro.
They are backstage. I don't see anybody backstage. Did they get the wrong link?
I don't know. I told him.
Probably got the wrong link.
Oh, I got it.
I'm not seeing anybody. But I'm looking forward to hear the Minister of Commerce. Though we used to call him Minister of Commerce, Industry, and Transportation. Is it still the same? I'm not sure. But I'm looking forward to seeing Minister Mudat. And since the appointment, he will talk about us. There are some key areas that I would like for him to address, especially in Liberia, and especially when it comes to the businesses of Liberia.
But the guys said I owe link, man. What the guy keep giving me? Why you giving me? Oh,
Okay, let's see the link.
Yeah, man.
Let me see if I can find that link because we don't want to keep the minister too long. That's an argument to this link.
Oh, Henry, he said you send me the link for today, man. The link that sent me said the guy said I owe link.
Let me see this. Is this old link for real? Let me see something. It's not old link. The one I just put in is not old link. It's not. Let me see something. If I can do it, then it's not. Oh yeah. It's not old link. There's another link that I just logged into. It's not old link.
Lofa.
Yeah, what's up, bro?
The
guy said the link. The minister, the link. The link. Can you send me the link that you're using now?
Okay, let me send a link to the minister.
Yeah, send it to the minister. Send it to Russell too.
Okay. Let me send this to.
Let's see.
I mean, we're live. We can't be old. It's the same. It's a new link. Is it when he tries to come on? What is it saying though?
Is it an Oling?
No, I think it should be. Let me see the one you sent. The one that's here. Not good. Not good. Not good.
Let me see here. Let me send this to Mr. Gungo and see what it works. Here, Tomalin.
You sending it to I mean, and this guy, and Minister the link.
I don't have their contact, so you want me to create another one and just send it out?
No, they should be fine. Let me see. This should be fine. Okay, let me see here. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Let me see it. Okay, let me see whether this work. Okay. I'll send you another link to the minister. Let me see. Yeah, I sent one to the minister. Let's see if he got it.
Okay, the one that you sent to Gonglo, send that same one to the minister and Russell.
Okay, I sent Russell one. I'll check the messenger.
Keff, shut up.
Do they have it? Russell, check your messenger. All right, but let's they'll be coming on. I send the minister the link. I hope he receive it. He doesn't see that he check it yet. Russell.
But someone can call the minister directly.
Okay, I see Russell. Russell, you sent it, the minister the link?
Yeah, hold up. Okay, we're gonna try this one now. Let me see. Do you see him?
No, not yet.
Okay, it's still showing him. Okay, the link.
Okay.
Okay, he's in now. He's in.
Okay, guys, we're already behind time, so let's get started. Again, welcome to the closing argument. It's our opportunity to have the Minister of Commerce and Industry of the Republic of Liberia, the Honorable Amin Modad. Mr. Minister, I want to congratulate you again on your nomination and confirmation as Minister of Commerce. And we just want to say best wishes to you. We a lot of business people have asked us to really to engage you so that you can give your vision, share your vision, and also how you plan to empower Liberian businesses and also make Liberia a better business-friendly society. So again, before we go further, let me ask the panelists to introduce themselves, and then we can get started right away. Peabody.
Peabody, Minister Modad, congratulations again, and it's good to have you on the closing argument, sir.
You'll put the minister up, please. Put in the center. Okay, good. Yes, Peabody. Okay, Duke.
Yes, Minister, thanks for being here. It's great to interact with policymakers. My name is Duke, and look forward to discussing the future of Liberia, especially at the Ministry of Commerce. So it's always a pleasure, and thanks for honoring the invitation.
Thank you.
Mr. Russell.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Mr. Russell.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. It's always a wonderful opportunity, a privileged opportunity at that to be on the closing argument. And Minister Modad, it's great to see you, and looking forward to a very healthy, beneficial conversation with you today. And thanks for honoring the invitation to be here.
Same here.
Professor Gongo.
Well, I'm now a professor. I'm a teacher. Minister Modad, I'm happy to see you again, and I'm happy that you responded positively to the call to just use our platform to communicate with the public. I mean, it's important. Whenever we have public officials who are willing to communicate with the public, that enriches our democracy, and I think it's important that you have honored this call. Thank you.
Chairman Sanvee.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I want to thank the minister for accepting the invitation. I'm gonna get used to saying the minister, but it's okay. I mean, it's a good friend and a long time big brother of mine. So very proud of him and what he has accomplished, and look forward to asking him some relevant questions here tonight and having a great conversation. Look forward to it.
Great. Guys, first of all, let me say again that we are live on Hot FM and live on True FM and also on YouTube, and it's being aired on local stations across the country. We'll get started quickly. Minister Modad, first of all, let me ask you, how are you doing? How your family, and how's everything at your end?
I'm well, thank you. Look, and Ben, I'm still the same person. Just another title, but still the same person.
I know.
It's a pleasure being on.
Okay. Minister, I'll start with the first question. Minister Modad, a lot of business people, most of the people are happy when you guys nominated. People are happy, most of the business people. And so my first question would be, what are the reforms you tend to bring to the ministry, especially as regards to working with the LRA and also the goods that come in the country so that it can affect prices for the Liberian people? What are your reforms you plan to bring to this ministry?
Okay, in terms of LRA, the role of the Ministry of Commerce cross-cuts several agencies. It cross-cuts LRA, Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, all the trade-related agencies, agriculture, lands and mines, NIC, the port, LPRC, you just name them. Everything that has to do with trade, the role of the Ministry of Commerce cross-cuts it. I keep on telling people, I think for a long while, people underestimated, probably because of how the ministry was operated, underestimated how the Ministry of Commerce impacts the entire society. Um, what we are trying to do from the initial is to restructure the ministry, you know, reorganize the ministry to really have the capacity to implement its mandate and the agenda we have. In terms of working with the other agencies, we've already started working with LRA. We've initiated a couple of joint meetings, even with the other ministries, Ministry of Finance, and other agencies. I think you have this time. Uh, I won't like to say young. We are all approaching our 50s or in our 50s, but you have a single generation all leading these critical agencies. And I think with similar mindset and agenda, so that we can expect a lot of cooperation.
Okay. And
In
Peabody?
terms of the economy,
Sorry, go ahead.
you can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
In terms of the economy, we're focused on fostering an uh, a somewhat open market. I won't like to say a fully open market, but an open market where with limited competition, with limited monopolies, where Liberians can partake in the economy. And our focus is ensuring that Liberians are capacitated and given that opportunity.
And Peabody.
Minister Mother, good to see you again and welcome to the Closing Acumen. Congratulations, my friend, and wish you all the best. Uh, uh, I just heard you talk about Liberian. Oh, he's off. Uh, yeah, he went off. So
Camera went out. Or electric?
Yeah, I think you,
Or what?
yeah, maybe electricity. Yeah, the light may have gone off. So
Minister, can you hear us?
yeah, the whole system went off. It's so hopefully he will get back on, folks, and then we'll ask our question. But in the meantime, if you're watching the show, can you just share it? Just share it, so that folks will others will be able to watch it.
All right, he's
Uh,
back.
all right, Minister, we got you back.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, great, Minister. Welcome back. Welcome. I just listened to you. You talk about the partaking of Liberia in the Liberian economy in economy, which is a great thing. That Liberian needs to be involved in their own economy. My attention has been drawn to. In fact, when I send you a congratulatory message, one of the things I said, make sure that we get the airport back. One area that my attention has been drawn, I've always been very critical of this, is the business launch at our airport, the Roberts International Airport. It saddens me that every time I go through that business launch, I see a Ghanaian run business. The food that we eat will be Ghanaian food. The services we get is totally run by Ghanaian. And this is something that will never happen. Never, I said never, in Ghana. Maybe, yeah. So what are your plans to make this a full-blown Liberian business instead of bringing, I know that I don't know what his contract was signed, but what are some of the plans so that Liberian will be able to control that, so that when we walk into that place, we can see Liberian food, all of that? What's your plan for that, Minister?
So again, the airport is not under my responsibility, but I feel what you are saying. I was a victim of this, if you remember. I had
Yes.
bidded for when I was in the private sector. I had bidded for the airport lounge and several of the stores there, and I lost all of them. So I understand what you're saying. We are going to work with we're going to reach out to the airport management to see how that can be addressed. I don't understand the length of the contract that was given to the current operator, but you're very right. The airport is the first opportunity to see and experience the Liberian culture, who of any country, how hospitable they are, and what they offer. And I think it should be manned and operated by qualified Liberians. So yes, I will reach out to the airport authority to see how that can be worked out, to look at the contract that they have. We should be showcasing the best we have to offer at the airport.
Yeah, my second question. Thank you, Minister. My second question has to do with goods and products that are brought in the country. Many times we've seen some of these products either expire, some of them they are not the best for Liberia. What are your plans in terms of addressing this and when it comes to the inspection of these kind of goods and food and things that are brought into our country?
So the first step is capacitating the Ministry of Commerce. I'm not saying this to criticize the previous administration, but a lot was neglected within the ministry. Okay, the inspector is practically non-functional. Uh, from what we received, there weren't any vehicles. In fact, I was surprised to know that within the last 6 years, only one vehicle was purchased for the Ministry of Commerce, and that was for the minister. So a lot of those functions that required the capacity to operate, I really don't know how they were operating. So we have begun working on that. The first thing, all the inspectors are being uniformed from next week to be properly identified. We're going through an orientation training where we don't only try to reorient them and train them on their functions, but also customer service, because they will be the face of the Ministry of Commerce. We are very, very sensitive. You have poor quality goods entering the country. I, from the private sector, have been seeing them. I've been experiencing them in my hotel and in my businesses. Again, that's one of the strengths I bring to the table, coming from the private sector and knowing these things firsthand. So we are gonna start a very vigilant inspection process, beginning with frozen foods. That's where one of the main concerns are the quality of frozen foods brought in the country. And we're not going to make this just a 1 day event. It's going to be a continued process where periodically we inspect most of those major importers to make sure that they are bringing quality and safe food products for our people. Now, a key component of this beyond the inspectorate is the National Standards Lab, and we've already began discussing with our development partners. There are some funding out there. When we were at the Ministry of Commerce about 12 years ago, we developed the Standard Lab with the hope that by now they will be doing critical tests beyond just the regular tests of volume measurements. They will go in depth into testing products entering the country, but also be capable of testing and certifying goods products made in Liberia for export markets. So within our not only within our 60-day work plan, you will see a more robust and more efficient standard lab doing some of those testings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Ben.
Yeah. Mr. Mensah, thank you. I want to pick up from exactly where you stopped. Couple of things.
I'm not hearing you.
Oh, can you hear me? Can everybody else hear me? Just
Yeah.
want to make sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me now?
I'm not hearing you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
I'm not
We
hearing
can
you.
hear you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think he got interrupted. He has to get out and probably.
Yeah, you probably
No,
need
I'm
to.
not.
Okay.
Okay, can you come in? Go out and come back in.
Yeah, I think he got interrupted. He has to.
No, let's not
Okay,
do the replay.
I'm hearing you now. I'm
You
hearing you
hear?
now.
Okay, great. Okay. So, Mr. Minister, I want to ask you a question, and I want to frame it this way. There is a tendency. You guys are beginning a 6-year term. There's a tendency in our country to start off extremely progressive and energized, And oh my God, I think where I'm hearing myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just have him come back in. He should just come in because he was listening to another device to hear what you're saying. He wasn't hearing it directly to the so he probably could come back later. Well. You guys got fiber all the way to the ocean. You just can't just pull the fiber all the way through and make sure you have your internet system up to date. Y'all still out here struggling with internet.
Okay.
I'm back in.
Good. Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Minister, I was saying, you're not strange to Liberia. This is not, the only difference right now is you're the Minister of Commerce. We've had these conversations. I know me and you have had these conversations in the past about Liberian businesses, all of the things that we talk about and we aspire. I'd like to say the Liberia we all dream about, right? You are now in a capacity where you can do something about this finally. We also have a problem in our country where governments start up with all this energy and then it dies down, right? Within 100 days or 6 months or whatever, then you don't hear. I make a specific reference to, let's say, what's the name? Your ministry, right? When Josephine Davis started as Inspector General. At one point, it was all on Facebook. She was visiting all these businesses and doing all these things. And at some point, we didn't hear anything again. I'm asking you this question because I want to know, and I want you to go on the record here, right? What is going to be your strategy when it comes to the inspection of goods on our market? Like you said, you've lived this, you feel this, you're a business owner. What is going to be your strategy? Is this not going to be the same thing where you come out like a Coca-Cola, full, and then it just go down, and then we don't hear about it anymore? And then my second question, so I'll just do all two, right? Strategy, sustainability. How is that going to happen, right? Government have issues with money. My second question would be, what is your plan? And you don't have to give me a whole detail, but just what is your plan in making sure we give our economy back to Liberians? You, again, like I said, that's one of the reasons I'm excited about your appointment, because you've lived this, right? Tell me, what is Amin Modad going to do? How is he going to help President Joe Boakai, advise him, whatever, to be able to help give our economy back to Liberians? And is that even possible?
Okay. So the key word you had in your question is strategy. So we're not approaching this haphazardly or just to create a euphoria or to make short-term political gains. No, that's not what we're after. I'm coming into this challenged from various perspectives in performing and making sure that this economy can turn. I'm leaving my enterprises. I'm not saying this to mean in any way. I'm really honored. I'm deeply honored for this privilege to serve as Minister of Commerce. No, it's not honor. It is a real privilege, and I take up this challenge. But I'm leaving a private sector that has a capacity, a vibrant capacity to make money and do all that I can, revive my businesses, to take up this role because I know what it means to have a strangulated economy, a strangulated private sector. And I know that regardless of what happens, if we don't build this economy, build a resilient economy, my own businesses in the future, this legacies, the legacy business that we want to perpetuate where we can turn things over to our kids, they're not going to happen. Okay. So I'm so committed. I'm so dedicated to making this change. Again, the key word is strategy. We even before I took seat, when President Boakai and I, then Senator Barrett, discussed the role he wanted me to play, and believe you me, I was looking at something else. And he reminded me of of what I bring to the table in terms of trade, uh, in terms of the policy side, and being a private sector player. I developed a 5 year, my 1 year deliverable, I'm sorry, my 100-day deliverable and 1 year deliverable far before I took office. And part of my 3 months deliverable is to develop my 5-year strategy to complete the 5-year agenda. Okay, and that 5-year agenda is encapsulated in my presentation to to the Senate, where I highlighted about 10 different points.
Mm-hmm.
One, we're going to diversify our economy. It's not going to be an export-led economy. You know, it's going to be a value addition focused economy with Liberians taking lead. And why I say value addition, you know, it's easy to say we want to develop our. Clearly, our comparative advantage lies in our resources and how we harness these resources, how we develop, you know, our resources and take advantage of it means a lot into how we develop our economy. That's established. And I know a lot of countries have been moving towards an export-led economy. We want to develop our private sector, we want to develop our production capacity to export. I'm looking at it a different way. It's not only to export, it's first to satisfy our domestic needs, being self-sustainable and self-reliant. There's a plus side to this versus just an export-focused economy. Plus side here, take for example, during the COVID, when the whole world was in shambles, you know, disorganized, you could not export, nothing could come in. I saw first during Ebola and during COVID how it's critical that we're able to reduce our needs. We're still a net importer. We're still importing from sugar, mayonnaise, uh, in many cases, even drinking water. Our tomato paste, sardines. Even though we have bountiful fish in our ocean, we're still importing almost everything. Even now, when we are party to global trade initiatives like the West African, like the ECOWAS trade agreement that opens the market up, we're just importing from Ghana and Nigeria. We're not exporting. So we're not taking advantage of that reciprocity that's enshrined in those agreements. So our focus now is to ensure that we can produce and become self-sufficient. And if our capacity is built to the extent where we can satisfy export markets, we'll satisfy export markets. And my focus and our focus is ensuring that Liberians take the lead in this. Okay, we've done it before. I migrated from a commercial hospitality to food production, so I know what it means. Our strategy surrounds that. Now, in terms you asked about getting Liberians involved, there are several factors that have been prohibiting Liberians' involvement into the economy, and trust me, I underestimated some of those constraints
Hmm.
when I was in the private sector. Okay, our economy is so lopsided in favor and controlled by foreign businesses. It's just unimaginable.
Hmm.
And I think it has to do not only with the policies. There are some good policies there, but the leaders that we've had. Again, I'm not trying to criticize a lot of anybody before me, but let me give you an example. When we came in up to the day before yesterday, I saw that within since November 3rd, the previous leadership, as if they went gung higher on IPDs, signed more than 680 IPDs on frozen foods alone.
Did you 650?
More than 650 IPDs were signed just in less than 2 months,
Wow.
just on frozen food. You know, and the president jokingly said, well, apparently they have done your job for you for 1 year. And that's the case. So you have IPDs, there are permits out there for frozen food, all going to large foreign importers, with minimum going to negligible going to Liberian enterprises. How are we going to build our economy? So it has to do with that strategy. And as I assured the senator, and I've publicly assured our people, I'm saying it here. Our focus is to ensure that Liberian participate in that. We've already begun discussing with various banks and development partners to dedicate funds towards this. If you recall, recently we were able to drop the price of rice by 25 cents. You know, many people dwell on the 25 cents versus understanding that there was a request and demand before we took over to increase the price to $20 from the $17 that it was. But along with that, we also had the rice importers agreeing to support and contribute towards a fund that will work towards developing to supporting Liberians in the rice production. That's a simple step, but it is a great step towards ensuring not only self-sufficiency, but will begin supporting Liberians in food production. And we hope that another agenda that we have is to harness the opportunities from you guys in the diaspora to invest in similar fund that will be dedicated towards agriculture and food production.
Thank you. So just to briefly, so is it possible to give our economy back to Liberians? Is it possible?
Yes, it's a gradual process,
Okay.
but every major step towards that,
Okay.
if we can dedicate just $3 million a year, whether through donor funding or government contribution towards value addition and
Mhm.
empowering 5 Liberians every year into sustainable value addition program, yes, our economy
And you're gonna
can
fight for
right.
that. Just for the
Yes,
record,
we
you're
are
gonna fight
going to
for
we
that. Okay.
are going to work towards this.
Thank you.
Yes, Tomalin, I know you recognize some people, but can I just pick a little bit on the last question Ben asked?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Minister, I know this is a unity party-led government. Under President Salih, the last term, when I think Axel Ade, when he was Minister of Commerce, President Salih actually did give instruction canceling the whole process of RPD. I don't know whether you are aware of this.
Okay.
So I'm surprised that I know there were other information that the minister then refused to implement the president order for whatever reason best known to him. I was in Liberia at the time. I was working there. They continue to do that because it's like a bank for previous ministers, RPD, to sign that they make that money. That's the information out there in the public. Is it not possible? What is the value of the RPD? Can you not cancel it as a progressive leader? Can you not cancel that?
Well, the first thing again in this process of understanding the institution called the Ministry of Commerce, we're looking at all that, all those services, all those programs, and all those things that we do uh, to facilitate business. We've already started discussing with LRA and other agencies to see how we can work together to not only curtail the multiplicity of functions, but also to address some of those issues that tend to hinder the business process. So yes, we are looking at it. Look, IPD, most of these initiatives have values. It's how it's managed and the subjectivity, having the leadership to in place, the structure in place where you have accountability and you have responsibility, make a huge difference. You eliminate IPT today, there will be another hole for corruption if the system is not built, to be accountable. So I show you, we're looking at all these processes. We're looking at all these, the services out there. People are complaining about CTN, the MedTech. There are several different things that are out there that hinder business, that put additional cost to doing business. And we're looking at all of those. The president is very keen on making it easier and predictable, the process of doing business.
Yes, so Tomlin, I know it's not, but can I just maybe end on this, then you move on?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So okay, that's Mr. Minister. I have a comment on the inspection. I know you spoke about inspection. I haven't done work at the Ministry of Labor before. You know, labor inspection is a bit different because the people are in the country and they are working. There are companies hiring, and we'll go look at the hiring processes and work conditions of labor of employees. In the case of commerce, my recommendation would be that your approach to inspection should be different, not the traditional inspection where you have people move from store to store that resemble more or less harassment in some instances. you inspecting goods that come in the country. Why not just build a relationship with custom and ports of entry so that commerce inspectors are also there so that these goods are not supposed to be on the market are actually stopped right there and kept in the warehouse or even disposed of it. In a way, it cut down the cost and the process you have to go through to inspect, maybe quarterly or every 6 months. That could be one easy way to do it. Then to allow bad goods to enter the country, then you go look for expiration date. There should be clear guidelines that goods that are going to expire maybe in the next 6 months should not be allowed to enter the country. That sort of thing. Once they go on the market now, then it's difficult. I'll let you come on that, but since I have this time, let me just go on one other issue. Then you can just take the two. You already made comment on the Liberian market. We are net importer. We are an import-oriented market. Now you're taking over. One of the complaints consumers have are the cost of goods. Okay, and it's not just today. I remember when I was at Ministry of Labor, Clinton Global Office, they were just about to open office in Monrovia. So the lady representing Clinton Foundation came to Liberia and she came to the Ministry of Labor. She met with me. And we're just talking on other issues. And she brought the cost of living. She said the cost of living in Monrovia was equivalent to the cost of living in New York. She said they are around the world, and she was part of the team that goes in each country to open the Clinton Foundation office. And they realized in Monrovia, the cost of living was just so. Are you going to do something about the cost of importing goods as quickly as possible to bring relief to the consumer? Question.
So I will start with that question. Immediately, since we've been in office in less than 3 weeks, about 2 weeks and change, we've already started that process. We've already met with the freight the shipping. We're meeting with the shipping lines this week. We've met with the Freight Forwarders Association. We've met with a couple of associations related to that chain of doing business in Liberia, from importation and what have you. And we already see areas where we can cut costs that will impact importers and be transferred to the ordinary people. We're already seeing, look, again, coming from the private sector, I understand these things. I understand too what some of the things the business people are doing. This time when I enter supermarkets, everybody's standing straight looking at what I'm doing. I'm looking at prices, I'm looking at displays, I'm already pulling IPDs from months ago to compare them to prices. So we're doing all these things, and you will start seeing those benefits in the next, month or two, once the team becomes in sync with this agenda. There are some factors that we cannot control that are exogenous, that are impacting trade, impacting the cost of goods. But we'll make sure those areas, those issues that we can address domestically, we will address them domestically. We've already, yesterday, President Bwaka had his first cabinet meeting. We already discussed a lot of these things, from issues related to the reduction of the price of petroleum, to the price of food. And one thing that he's clear, whatsoever that you're doing, make sure it's backed by thorough assessment, thorough understanding of the economic impact, and that's what we're doing. Uh, I will not say much on some of those actions you start seeing by next week. They will come up and you'll see them in the press. But these are all towards understanding what's on the market and the quality of things on the market, and how people are pricing those commodities. Look, a lot can be done. A lot can be done. And I tell when I met the rice importers, I told them we want you to make profit, but not profit at the expense of the Liberian people. And we're going to draw a demarcation from those who are doing importation to those who are doing wholesale to those who will be doing retail, because I noticed in this lopsided economy where our foreign businesses are dominant, you find that they are the importers, they are the distributors, they are the retailers, and they are making profit all along that chain. So we will address all of those.
Okay. Mr. Minister, let's go to Keff. The IPDs you talk about, you're going to cancel all of the IPDs, right? Right away. I'm sure you have already canceled it.
So by tomorrow, we will revoke or rescind all IPDs that were issued from November 3rd to now, and ask all of those vendors to come in and justify those IPDs.
Awesome, awesome. Kev, go ahead.
Go.
I think Ben is on your team now.
Mhm.
I mean,
Kev, before you say anything, you understand I'm not minister of the unit party. I'm the minister of commerce for everyone. So please don't bring any party
Can I
issue
ask you
up.
a question? Don't mind. I mean,
Okay.
don't mind. Yeah.
Because I won't answer you.
I mean, let me say this. Let me ask you this question quick before I ask the question. The last time we were on another platform, when you left um, your position and chairman of the Unity Party, and I said something to you about your son. I just want to ask you, how is he feeling? Because
AJ?
I remember I said to you, you will always be a hero to him. You remember that?
Yes, I remember. Thank you.
So how is he feeling now? You're a minister.
So surprisingly, I walked down the hotel the other day. I saw AJ uh, sitting with a guest, and with AJ is Winfred's friend, sitting with a guest in the buffet. And he went to the manager and told the manager to the two guys. He said the two guys I was speaking with, uh, don't charge them for the buffet.
Hmm?
So yeah, so my wife called him on the side, asked him what's going on. He said, "Well, Daddy is not here. And you the first manager. I'm the second manager." So he already feels that, he feels that ownership, and I like how he's approaching it. But he's proud. He's very proud, and when we lost the convention, you remember we mentioned some of the hardest part for me was to let him know that we lost the chairmanship and what it meant to him, because everyone called him comrade. And I see he got assimilated into the election, wanting this victory, and he's getting to understand the role I'm playing beyond, just our family, our friends, and the business. So I think he's moving forward with it positively. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, no problem. But that's what it's not part of my two questions. I just wanted to bring that because
One of your question there, man.
no, it's not one of my questions. But I mean, let me ask you this. In 2018, when the CDC took over, rice was $16 and some change, and based on what the government put in, steps to put in to subsidize, uh, you know, uh, rice imported, it came down to $13 for almost over 5 years. Rice went up because of the global crisis, as we all know it. And the president, Jose Yumabaka, spoke on the crisis the other day that, prices going up. So, well, almost uh, 6 years, price was $13. But now rice is about, I think, 17 and change. So, any plan for you guys to follow that same step to bring rice down?
Okay, so let me say this in the reverse. Firstly, the subsidy strategy you guys implemented, the previous administration implemented, did not work, because you've left millions in debts to the rice importers that this new administration is confronted with. From what I understand, I think it's between, I don't want to give but it's in millions that the government has not paid the rice importers based on the subsidies. So subsidies cannot work if you don't have a vibrant economy. Now, rice prices have gone up, and mind you, also the last administration received a letter in October of 2023 from the rice importers, requesting the government to increase the price of rice from $17 to $20. The previous administration, considering it was during election period, requested that this should be tabled until after election. When election happened, the rice importers re-engaged the previous administration, and the previous administration stated they should wait for the incoming administration. And I understand that. I'm not throwing fault on that. But when this government took over, the price of rice was at $17, on the verge of going to $20. We've been able to immediately negotiate with the rice importers. They have dropped the price to 16.75 based on the current stock. We're actively looking at the global prices. Now, we're not leaving it to fate. We're actively putting in place the mechanism that will monitor the global prices of rice and other commodities to make sure that we're in tune with it and develop strategies to circumvent how it impacts Liberia. With the issue of rice, currently, what impacts the price of rice globally is a 20% recent charge placed by the Indian government on our preferred rice, the 5% broken Indian purple rice. It's a temporary measure, but that impacts us greatly globally in the price of rice. So we're already looking at means to work with the Indian government to see if Liberia can be exempted, because I understand they have given exemption to a few other countries like Senegal or Gambia. We're working with them. And our long-term strategy, which if before you came in, Kev, I stated that we have gotten the rice importers to begin contributing towards local rice production. Rice price will continue to go up globally. It will continue to impact our economy, but it becomes a concern if the purchasing power of the people are not elevated. If people remain poor, $25, $20 bag of rice would mean a whole lot. If the economy expand, the livelihood of the purchasing power of the people expand, and they can afford it, and there are varieties on the market, it's not going to be as severe. So the end game or the strategy here is to boost local production. The third thing that we got the rice importers to agree to was to import a variety of rice as an alternative to the parboiled rice that's sold at 17 or 16.75 now, so that just in case there are external factors that continue to impact the price of rice, Liberians will have to their disposal cheaper rice than that, so they will have an alternative. So we're working on this in a holistic manner, not just looking at reducing rice price, but also ensuring that people can afford to buy rice. One, that there are varieties for them to purchase. There are people who are buying the rice directly from the Carolina rice and the rice directly from the U.S. for $70, $80. So there is a social segment that can purchase higher price commodities. There should also be alternative for those who can afford.
Okay, let me say this. I mean, I know you talk about the last government left a lot of debt on the rise because importers. Um, I I don't know if that message will fly out there because for almost 5 years, if that they could have make some noise. But I know they pay because I know that for sure. But one of the
So, Kev, I will get the records. I will get the records and publish it to
okay,
verify again.
okay.
Because when we met the rice importers,
Mhm.
one of the things that was clear, subsidies wouldn't work because the government still owe them for rice.
You were breaking
There's
in.
a new government in place. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. So, Kev,
Mhm.
let me say this, and I hope it guides our relationship and our engagement on this platform and anywhere else. There's a new government in place. The new government is a continuity of the previous administration. Whatsoever we highlight is not to discredit the previous administration. Whatsoever audits we do will identify the plus and minuses of the previous administration just as much as I hope that the next administration will audit our administration. So it's a continuity. We will build on the positive of the previous administration, the positive actions of the Ministry of Commerce. So let's not get into previous administration, and let's look at how we can create a better environment for all of us. If I was going to dwell, if I was going to dwell on previous and current and CDC or Unity Party, I wouldn't be on this program, knowing that you were on this program, because I know how you engaged us before. But we were professionals and we were going beyond that. So let's please go beyond that.
Okay, the election is over now. It's about Liberia. What happened during election
Exactly.
time? What happened during election time is election. It's over. Uh, I know a lot of folks within the Unity Party feel that way. But I'm a member of the CDC, and I'll go after people. But election is over. This time, let's move Liberia forward. But let me ask you this: um, a lot of I'm hearing a lot of people from and your government talking about, we'll feed ourselves, we'll grow our rice. When I'm looking at Nigeria, I'm looking at Egypt. These are countries that export rice and they feed themselves, they grow rice. Billions of dollars they spend, billions, not millions. They spend a lot of money. So
Right.
when I hear people spreading this thing around, okay, we will do this, we will feed ourselves. I heard the president, Jose Imam Bokar, saying that. I said to myself, I said, it's wrong information. It's wrong information. As a commerce minister, how much you think at this moment, time in Liberia, how much it takes to feed ourselves, to grow our own rice? How much? How much it takes? I want you to give us just a rough estimate. That's a rough estimate. How much
No,
it
I don't have a rough I don't have a rough estimate to give you. I like to base my public assertions on facts. But what I can tell you, it's possible. It's not going to happen instantaneously. And if we're looking for it to happen just within this administration, then we're not being realistic. Okay, we have to set the system in place to begin that process and make sure that there's continuity to the next administration, and step by step we build our domestic reserve and production reserve of food and rice. Another issue about food security is it should go beyond rice. If you talk about Nigeria, they eat cassava, they eat rice, they eat plantain, they eat several other commodities
Yeah.
equally or even more. So we have to build our own social mentality, develop our own social mentality to go beyond just rice. And another thing that is hampering our rice situation is that we are fixated on the 100% or 5% broken parboiled rice, whereas you have several other rice varieties out there that are more nutritional, that might even be cheaper or even more expensive than the parboiled rice. I remember one point in time when the Japanese brought rice into the country that was sold cheaper than the parboiled rice. If you guys remember, that was a variety of rice that was of a higher grade. I think it was basmati. And because there was excess from California, they shipped them to Liberia. But we refused it. So we have to graduate as a gradual process. Once we start developing our country rice, our traditional country rice with other variety of rice, and gradually introduce them to the market, we have to develop a strategy. For example, relief feeding, school feeding, hospital feeding. We have to start using our country rice. Once there's a new generation that gets to appreciate it, 3 4 years down the line, they wouldn't be so dependent on the US imported parboiled rice. But it can happen.
Yes.
But it has to be
But it can.
strategically done.
Okay. Lofa.
okay, I mean.
Um, thank you guys. Good evening. Good to be on here. Mr. Minister, welcome to the closing argument. Uh,
Thank you, Lofa.
you're welcome. Quick question for you, and I want to start with the issue of positions that are being filled. I'm assuming the inspector general, right, will be. I mean, that's one of the position that probably work with you. Is that correct? Or under your jurisdiction?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Um, Now that position, help me understand: is that a civil servant position, or what? What I mean, what is that based on
It's a
government?
civil servant position.
Okay, and we see. Go ahead.
Yes, it is. It is a servant position.
Okay. And we see that, I mean, this is being appointed, the president is making appointed in that appointment in that direction. All right. My question here, and I'll get back to that. The reason I asked that question, I just needed to get that clarity on here. But my question here, as far as a commerce minister, I'm concerned about the innovative thoughts that is being put into the process. How do you intend to utilize technology to help you to explore and get the best out of your associates or those that are in the forefront helping you to get these jobs done?
Okay, so let me preempt the first question that you wanted to ask.
Hmm.
Yes, it's a civil servant position.
Hmm.
It was appointed by the president, even though
Hmm.
it's within the purview of the Minister of Commerce. But
Hmm.
the president is the executive of the government. He
Okay.
has, by statute, he can appoint anywhere. Okay,
Okay.
and I can assure you, all of these appointments that you see, whether it comes from the president's office or,
Hmm.
in my case, from the Ministry of Commerce, it
Hmm.
was through a consultative process.
So
President Boaka has included me into that process. Okay. Now,
okay.
going to technology,
Hmm.
I'm very, very aware of how technology plays in any environment in enhancing service, in developing quality,
Hmm.
and fostering efficiency. Immediately, one of the things on my priority, and it was discussed at my Senate hearing, is to make efficient the business registry, for example. And we've already identified that there are funding to do it. The work is being done at the Liberia Business Registry through support from the World Bank.
Hmm.
We're going to employ the necessary technology to streamline the business registration process.
Okay.
In fact, I've already given instructions that certain level of business should be developed. This business should be divided into categories, and some categories you can do it online instantaneously. Some business levels with higher investment, broader partnership that requires understanding of that partnership and so forth, might take a day or two. But in all this, we want to reduce the time and cost of doing business. Okay, so we're employing, there's funding, and we're looking at developing that software, that application to be able to do that. Uh, in line with the Ministry of Commerce, come to the Ministry of Commerce in 2 weeks from now. We're already installing digital system, uh, inter office communication to boost efficiency. I From the private sector, I understand these things. Okay, and
Oh man, he was going to exactly where I wanted him to go with this one. Wow.
He'll
Man.
probably, he'll probably be back. It's
Yeah.
internet issues.
Well, I mean, I think the show is going fine.
Yeah.
I mean, especially on the issue of this our staple food, rice, and so forth. So we hope we have time to ask more questions, especially all people concerned about this, the prices of goods, the tariffs at the port, and everything with this. Uh, the
CTN.
The
what do you call
CTN,
it?
yeah.
Need to
CTN?
know about the
Yeah,
CTN, and
yeah, CTN.
hopefully he can tell us. I mean, through the investigation, where was the CTN revenue going?
Yes.
Where was it going? If it wasn't even captured in the budget, where
Hmm.
was CTN revenue going? Why is it still there? I thought it was something. I thought it was one of the opportunities President Barker probably had on his first day in office was to issue an executive order to
Executive order, yeah.
All right,
But
guys.
but Ben, what astonishment is this IPD? 600.
RPD.
I
My
mean,
God.
He's gonna have a hard
honestly,
time.
man, that's an
Tamlin,
abuse of the law.
Tamlin,
I was
he's gonna
shocked.
have a he's gonna have a hard time getting back in here due to the number of folks on here. So I'm gonna leave and have him come in so that way he can have room to come in, or else he's not going to be able to come in.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you, Lofa.
so I'm going to bring him back. No, it's good.
There's a feedback. Who has a feedback?
But is he back on? Is the minister back on?
Robert, go ahead. Put your phone on mute for us, please, or whatever it is.
No, I'm on.
Okay, we still got feedback.
Peabody, you giving us that feedback? Mute yourself. Let's see.
Yeah, that's Peabody. All right.
But looking forward to him addressing this IPD issue further, because during his confirmation hearing, he did make a promise of dismantling that regime, and so I don't understand why now he's saying that only the ones in November.
Go ahead. Who are asking the question? Lofa.
Sorry, guys, I got kicked out.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Minister.
Well, Lofa said he was leaving,
So as I was saying to Lofa, we are going to employ. Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
So sorry, I got kicked out. I don't know how, but look, we are employing, making sure that we use technology to make our work efficient. We're also working towards this one-stop shop concept that integrates the ministry, all the trade-related agencies, especially the ones that charge fees and process business, like LRA and so forth. We make sure that they are going to be part of this. We're going to redevelop and re-strategize on that one-stop shop concept to make sure that at the business.
Hey, man. I won't ask the your question again. We'll just go to the rice sales.
Yeah, internet have been bad in Liberia today, though. I mean, we're trying to call today to vote him.
Blame Keff.
Is it weather related or is just regular technical issues?
Nah, it's Keff Hassan.
Maybe somebody calling locally. No, I mean,
it was a great conversation. Great conversation. And,
but I think Mr. Russell was talking about that RPD issue. I think we should push a minister.
I will. That's
because at the confirmation hearing he spoke about that, and I know this for fact that
guys he's in the bag again. Like
business will complain so much about RPD.
He's here now. He's here now.
You can just restrict.
Go ahead, Lofa.
Formal question.
Lofa, put him up.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Minister. Can you hear us? Can't hear us. Can you hear us?
Saying about cancellation of IPDs.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just complete. I think Lofa had asked you a question earlier, so he's just complete.
You can just conclude on my question, and then somebody else will come through.
Sure. So we're making sure we exhaust every measure to make the ministry more efficient in not only with our external customers, who should be the public, but also our internal customers. The interaction between agencies, their departments, and offices, we're going to be more efficient.
Okay. Duke.
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Minister. It's great to have you on here. We do appreciate it. Look, Lofa asked a brilliant question. I'm going to follow up here quickly. Look, this is not new. We've heard a lot of promises about economy, the state of the economy, and all of the jargons that's been used in the past. One of the things that's been so frequent, has been this obsession with petroleum products. Now, I say this to say, we've seen that recently when we have global increase in prices, how it has impacted the supply and demand side. And it has become a political talking point from one government, making necessary adjustments and not consistent enough. We run into the same issue. My question here is, from the Minister of Commerce perspective, what will be your strategy in terms of embracing alternative energy to be able to, if not solve this issue, but provide some level of flexibilities to give Liberian options. In addition to that, before I go to my second question, is how can we improve the ease of business doing business process to maybe look at diaspora entrepreneurs who are really skilled in the area of alternative energy to be able to give you some level of access to that market and probably improve that fight. The reason why I'm asking this question is that, there's nothing wrong with asking all of the other questions. I just think that we're in this phase where we have to embrace evolution from a different perspective. And some of the things that we struggled, if we really look at these renewed options, these available options, it can be able to help us to, create the low flexibilities in market as well. That's my first question. I don't want to overload you, and then I will come back with the second one.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad we're diversifying our questions. It's very important. The role of the Ministry of Commerce goes beyond rice, cement, and petroleum. And I agree with you, Duke, on this. We need to look at the broad functions of the Ministry of Commerce. Every country in this modern era based their political policies on their trade policies. The U.S. foreign policy centers around their trade needs, their domestic economic needs, and there's no reason why we shouldn't. President Buckeye said the other day that regardless of how small a country is, their obligation and needs are almost the same. We still need to look at our domestic values and look at our domestic needs. We still need to focus on ensuring that Liberians are our focus. When we're small, we just say, damn it, the US cannot leave any American behind. I want to adopt this mentality that Liberia should not leave any Liberian behind. Okay? And in doing so, yes, we will look at alternative energy. I am keen. Very soon, we'll plan a diaspora engagement to visit the US. It's not only to go for the grandstanding of visiting the US, but I really want to see Liberians in the diaspora go beyond talking and get involved in our development. Sometime last week I posted, why can't we develop an investment fund? How many Liberians are in the diaspora? How many Liberians are there? If 50% of the Liberians in the diaspora decide to put just $20 towards this fund to see rice production, trust me, the issue of rice self-sufficiency is going to be, we will solve that. So we want to catalog, we want to understand more than before the values and some of the technologies, some of the experiences Liberians in the diaspora can bring to Liberia to make it more effective, more efficient, to better our country. But it's all about risk, and I came from the diaspora before, and I know you guys, or we who come from the diaspora, we are risk adverse. But if we really want to change things, some of you need to pack your things and come back to Liberia and take the risk. It's not going to work without that. You got to come prepared to lose. You got to come prepared to learn. You got to evolve also. You go to Nigeria, again, you go to the Ghana and Nigeria. Every time I see we're looking for professionals to do things in Liberia, we tap, even the donor community, tap into Ghana, tap into Nigeria. Because those guys are showcasing themselves. So if you have Liberians who are in alternative energy, come and set up shop here. Showcase yourself here. And again, there are some things we can control, some things we can't control, but I can assure you, under our leadership, will be very aggressive into encouraging Liberians in the diaspora to come back home and work and contribute.
Thank you. And the other part, you've actually you've made some comments about that, but I just want to expand further on it. First and foremost, I think in this public manner, as a platform, this argument about whose Liberian needs to stop, because I don't think it serves us the purpose as a nation. I only say that because I have a niece that's upstairs right now, and pray tell me how I would feel when somebody start questioning her citizenship. But a conversation that we need to have, Mr. Minister, and it's something that's going to be out there a lot, right? one of the things, the most consistent thing that we've seen over the years has to do with the business environment. And you said that we don't have this level of functionality in the private sector. It has been dominated by foreign business owners, and I'm glad you admitted to that. You do have some ideas in terms of how you may be able to solve some of those problems, but what confidence can you give to us as Liberians, as consumers, that this is not just another talking point, but that we can begin to see some of the steps that are necessary to actually evolve? Because the country and the economy cannot grow if we still have stagnation in the private sector. What can a Ministry of Commerce do to be able to lead that transformation from a practical standpoint? I do, support the fact that you're looking at improving the ease of business by looking at the digital process as well. I also suggest that you further that by looking at those revenue generating areas at the Ministry of Commerce to see how best we can use a digital system to make sure that government's recouping those monies that are being brought in to avoid additional fraud. But I just want you to put to ease Liberians, especially in the diaspora that are trying to do business, that see all of these challenges, that see all of the things happening. What incentives can we create? What are some of the actionable things that you can do that are practical enough to be able to expand the private sector to say that, we're going to move or evolve from just talking to come up with realistic solutions that's going to help us to move to the right when it comes to economic development from the Ministry of Commerce perspective?
So, Duke, at this point, anything I say will just be the same talking, and making promises. Because that's the stage we're at right now. The best I can tell you, my brother, is to hold me accountable. Hold the Ministry of Commerce, beginning with me as minister, accountable to foment this kind of change, and I take that responsibility very serious. I have been confronted with all of these prejudices coming from my name to my color to my to everything. So I understand those prejudices. I also came from the diaspora. I experienced some of those prejudices. I also know that there's a reverse side to this. Liberians from the diaspora also have their own prejudices, against the Liberians that are here. So it's a social mentality that we will work on. We have to work on in ensuring that we stop judging each other, and we focus more on those realistic things that can build us up. I would say this: every time Liberians will find the next thing to divide us. If it is not the color, it will become the tribe, it will become the religion. We have to go past this, and we have to approach our national agenda in an inclusive manner where everyone here or abroad believe you have a stake in it. Okay. And from my side, that's what I can promise you I'll do. Another thing I can promise you is that I have vested interest in Liberia. And that's why I have assumed this role, to make sure that my investments, the future of my children, your children, can be protected and can be secured. And to do that, it is incumbent and it's my life obligation to make sure that we contribute towards the short time that I'm going to serve as Minister of Commerce to create that environment. So one of the ways that you will hold me accountable is within the next 3 to 6 months, we'll put out our 5-year strategic plan with an action matrix that you can measure, that can be measured, that can be graded, and you can hold us accountable to it. You know, we said our cabinet, and the president has stressed this. We should develop realistic, achievable actions that will impact the Liberian people for the next 6 years, and that's what we were trying to do.
Mr. Russell.
Wow. Thank you, Minister Modai, and it's great having you here on the closing argument. I think it's important that your vision for the Ministry of Commerce is spread far and wide and throughout, where you are on multiple platforms and in multiple areas, sharing your vision, because I think you have a very great plan and a very great vision for moving the Ministry of Commerce and Liberian businesses forward. So appreciate your presence here wholeheartedly. But not to belabor the point, right? But I want us to go back, if we can, for a little bit. You started on this conversation earlier, so just want to go back to this whole issue of IPD. Now, I just want to go back to your confirmation hearing. I think during your confirmation hearing that you promised to scrap the endemically corrupt IPD policy. But now you come back and in response to, I think, Mr. Gonglu's question, you talked about getting rid of the ones from November. So why November and not the entire thing? Because this, scrapping the entire IPD, policy that you yourself has said is not it's not a good policy, and it's not been working good, for the country. I think it would be a great thing, because it ensures a free and open market with a lot of benefits, maybe lower prices, competitive prices. So a lot of folks see that as a good thing. So why are you going to stop at November and not just do a comprehensive cleaning up?
Okay. So I did not say I was going to scrap the IPD. I said I was going to foment a mixed economy, an open economy with some controls. Okay. We're going to we're going to work towards eliminating all forms of monopolies. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be some level of control, because sometimes it's necessary. Okay. But the control that we plan to implement will be minimum, to the extent where, until we see that there are actions or tendencies that will frustrate or impede the policy and agenda that we have. Okay. IPD is just a process of understanding. There are several reasons why we have IPD. It can be used to understand the market, understand what comes in, what goes out, to make sure that people are doing what they are supposed to do. We wouldn't know to what extent that, for example, chicken wings are into the country without that kind of, that kind of system where we record them. The IPD process is free. There's no charge for IPD. Okay. Now, the ministers and the Ministry of Commerce use the IPDs to implement some sort of control on the economy. Sometimes it can be abused.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be abused in a way if the Minister of
And it
Commerce
has been
decide on the
abused.
two different vendors, two different importers that they are going to give IPDs to bring in frozen food. That's where the monopoly come in. Okay? So my agenda is to open the market. The reason why we're going to look at the IPDs from November 3rd till now, because it was alarming to discover that about 2,100 containers, IPDs were signed for an equivalent of 2,100 plus containers just on frozen food.
Wow.
I noticed in the last few days we're getting IPDs from how this came to my mind. I noticed an inflow of IPDs for several commodities except frozen food. So I called the staff in charge and said, "Listen, can you please bring me record of all IPDs signed over the last 1 year?" Because it was alarming. And that's when I noticed a trend where between November and January, a lot of IPDs were signed for just frozen food. If you look at 2,000 containers, that's more than a year consumption of frozen food.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not looking at this in a sense to discredit our predecessor, but to understand why such a volume of permits for frozen food was signed within this short period of time. And that creates that indirect monopoly where few individuals get control of a particular commodity. And in efforts of opening that market, we saw a trend. We saw 5 or 6 major importers are the ones who were granted those IPDs. So there has, and to your question again, Winfred, we should not be interfering in the free market economy unless it's really necessary. In this case, it's necessary. There's nothing allowing me to go back into 1 year of frozen food IPDs now. Trust me, if we see any trend that we need to go back to those things, we will. We will, so that we can correct it. When we invite the importers who are granted these IPDs, we're inviting them to justify the market, the current market for 2,000 containers of frozen food. We want to ensure that you are bringing those frozen food in Liberia and it's going to help you reduce price. So there are several things we will look at, and we're not in the business of stopping or strangulating the business people. Once you can justify that you are going to bring those food, you're going to bring them to be sold in our borders at a reasonable price. There shouldn't be any reason we'll reconsider them.
Okay, thank you. My next question, my last question to you, my minister. We look at the whole area of consumer fraud. Okay, so can you share with us and how you plan to educate consumers? I mean, we have a pretty illiterate society, with all due respect. And so, what sort of plans you have, or does the ministry have, to educate consumers and ensure marketplace fairness and prevent fraud in commerce regulated industries? Because you are the Minister of Commerce and Industry, and there are a lot of licensed services, there are a lot of regulated industries that fall within your jurisdiction. So how are you going to address those things? What can you tell us? What can you tell folks listening to you and folks who are watching you about addressing consumer fraud?
So I can assure the public that the Ministry of Commerce under our leadership will be a very responsive institution. We're not going to wait for issues to arise before communicating. We're going to really invest into our communication strategy in a robust public-private dialogue process. I think I will have to go at some point tonight. I will highlight the 10 steps, 10 things that we will prioritize, but we'll engage the public. Now, in terms of fraud, we'll try to curtail it as much as possible by curtailing it in our institution. Okay, will build great credibility. I'm very proud. I'm very glad of the deputy ministers that are coming on board to support my agenda. Okay, one of them is Wilmot Reeves. He's currently senior economist for UNDP in Malawi. He was senior economist here in Liberia. A very astute person who's going to help me in engaging our development partners to make sure that we get the kind of support we need to build the institution and build our functions. He's also going to be very aggressive in terms of the policy side to ensure that we have the policy. In terms of the institution, the lady who's coming in as a deputy for administration is a very astute person too, who I've worked with in the past, and she will institute that in organization structure that will foment that will be in line with our agenda. Look, you are going to see a different institution that goes beyond rice and cement and steel. It will be very engaging. Will be very informative. They've already started working on the platform for a periodic newsletter that will come out from the Ministry of Commerce. It's not just going to be just to put out the price of rice. It's going to go in depth into what we should be informing the public. But it also brings me to one question that I don't think I answered properly that Duke asked, and that is, in being a responsive institution, where there are some exogenous issues that we cannot handle, we must develop in that 5 year strategy points that will circumvent those external shocks. There will be increase in price of rice. Yes. How can we circumvent them? We must put in place those strategies. We must have those strategies. There will be emergency. We must have an emergency response strategy within our own Ministry of Commerce to ensure that when we have those emergencies, our structure, the fabric of our mandate will not be broken down. That we can assure the Liberian people that you will still have, availability of food on the market. You will still have availability of some of your necessities. Those are serious things we need to be thinking about. Another thing that we are going to be very focused on, and I said this before, every country trade agenda is in response to every country political agenda is in response to the trade needs, the economic needs. When America says foreign policy, it means they want to know what they're going to get from you. Their relationship is based on reciprocity, and there must be something coming back to us. There shouldn't be any reason Liberia should not be that way. As we engage our other countries, engage our multilateral and bilateral partners, it is with the sole intention of seeking the interests of the Liberian people and the Liberian government. If we're getting into contracts, we're getting into concessions, this time under this administration, the focus point would be ensuring that Liberia and Liberians get the maximum return.
Robert Gagwa.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, and welcome to the closing argument. I like to say in this public manner that I admire your business mindset. You've done a lot of things in the private sector, most especially in the hotel industry, my area of expertise. There have been lots of discussion as it relates to conflict of interest. We're having a great conversation, but I want to give you an opportunity to speak to us about your personal business. Are you still actively running that business? And if there are any concerns as it relates to conflict of interest, if any, to us that the public have no worry.
So, as I stated at my Senate hearing, it has already been done. But I just don't want to release those things in piecemeals. But next week, I will declare my assets along with all those actions that I've taken. I've formally turned over the functions of all my businesses to my wife and management teams from the 3 businesses that are already functional. Communication has gone to all my banks, have gone to all the banks, all the partners, the people we deal with, uh, uh, informing them of those changes. So I'm no longer running those businesses. And I can assure you, if you research, I mean, Keff has done that over the last 6 years. The only thing Keff will tell you he has found out about Amimo that he has dwelt on is that Amin has debts. I mean, businesses have debts, but you never find a situation where I've been involved in any malpractice, any instance of corruption or conflict of interest. Even when I was chairman of the United Party, the United Party did not pay for any event or anything at the Bella Casa Hotel. And I can assure you, in the next 6 years, 2 years to 6 years, any time frame that I'm privileged to serve as Minister of Commerce, you will not have any single instance of conflict of interest between my business that I have relation with, or with the Ministry of Commerce.
Thank you. My last question has to do. I listened to you earlier, and you made a comment about. I think it's time for diaspora Liberians to act, to do something more than just talk, right? And I think a lot of diaspora Liberians that have taken risk, have invested so much in our country. I know a whole bunch of them. They've they've lost a lot of money, thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They may not, they may frown at that comment, because there are few folks who've been successful, few folks who've actually taken, went gone into their savings and went back home. Um, how do you intend uh, to create an environment that is less political as far as private sector job growth, because that's an integral part of your responsibility. And how do you reassure Liberian investor, right, that you're not just taking risk, but we will create an environment where you can take risk, you will lose some money, things may not work out the way you anticipated to work out, but there are opportunities. What would your ministry do? And if you can just add this part, I know you talked about some things that were discovered with the IBD, with the IPD. Look, the IBD was introduced since the 18, since the six. There've been a lot of conversations about the model, if it works now, if it works, if things still should go the way it was many years ago. In answering our questions, are you going to be transparent enough to make public the founders, what you found? Are you going to be transparent enough to make that public so that we see exactly what's going on and who are accountable for some of these issues?
There's a delay feed.
Okay. Yeah, you are breaking up, so I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, I can.
Okay. In relation to the IPD, I'll start with that. In relation to the IPD, it's just part of several the business process line, the chain of of activities that we do at the Ministry of Commerce. We are in the process of reviewing everything. It may not be called IPD. You will find a similar control in the US, in any country. It might not be called IPD, but there will be some sort of control, some sort of processes in place to ensure that the government is not stiff, the people are not shortchanged. So we have to just review all of these processes, all of these actions and services that the Ministry of Commerce provides to ensure that they are in line with our contemporary needs, and they support our agenda of creating a vibrant economy, reducing the cost of doing business, encouraging foreign investment, and encouraging Liberians to participate in the economy. Okay? Now, if we create a vibrant, inclusive, and less prohibitive, enabling business environment, is going to benefit the foreigners, is going to benefit Liberians alike, Liberians from the diaspora. So there's a first neutral ground that we have to we have to create neutral action that we have to do that will impact business in general. That is creating a predictable business environment where you know what it costs to register your business. You know what's the time frame in registering your business. You know what it costs your duty, your taxes. Everything should be predictable. It should be efficient in terms of timeline. You should be able to know that if you want to do business in Liberia, whether you're a foreigner or you're a Liberian, it's going to take 3 days to register your business. You want to feel confident in the administration, feel confident that when you want information, you will get that information. Again, Ministry of Commerce's role goes beyond sector, so we'll make sure as the government agency that are responsible for the general business environment that we provide Liberians here and abroad and our foreign, foreign businesses all the necessary information you will need to decide to do business in Liberia. We're going to make sure we are available to you in the diaspora. Again, we're going to engage the diaspora. I will come out there not to just come give speeches, but will come there with brochures, with documents, with information that you yourself will have that you will be getting all the information you need. Here, there are things we can control, and I can assure you we'll control those things here so that when you come to invest, you are given the facts and you know the environment you're investing in. You need to do your research also as an entrepreneur. I came from the diaspora. I came with, in fact, I keep on saying this even when I was in the private sector. If I could succeed in Liberia within this period of time, anyone can succeed in Liberia and and become wealthy and independent. Okay, you have to be willing to take the risk. You have to be calculated. And one of the things I tell every Liberian in the diaspora: absentee management doesn't work. You know, you're in another environment. It's easier to sit in the US online and control a lot of things. But if you want to do business in Liberia, you have to give your time to be here, to monitor your business, to ensure that it is done right. Your uncle, your brother is not going to manage, your sister, they are not going to manage the business and make decisions as you would. So there are a lot of things will do that. Now, with the economy, one of the actions we're starting with immediately, we're developing a strategy for, a plan for, and we'll roll out in the next 3 months, is a very rigorous business registration process, beginning with the informal sector. We have a program we're developing. We're registered informal free of charge. We're working with the banks to open accounts for them free of charge, with a minimum deposit, maybe about $25, that is below the normal account minimum balance, to encourage that informal sector and graduate them. If we begin that process, and by the next 1 or 2 years, those guys who were not formally registered, they were not paying taxes, it will give them the impetus to begin registering the businesses, to begin paying minimum taxes. It's going to boost our national revenue, and we're going to create an environment for Liberians to aspire. At the same time, we're going to make sure that we have financing options addressing several of those actions, several of those issues that prohibit Liberian entrepreneurship. We're working with the banks. There are funding already in place that we are going to exhaust. We're going to make sure we put them in the right place to provide business development services to Liberian entrepreneurs. Liberians have beautiful ideas. You have, and they are innovative. Some of the things that I see Liberians doing out there, I saw a young man building a robotic tractor by himself, small toy. If he had guidance, that's an innovation that could make him money, you know. And so we go. When it's not only about providing one service. We're going to look at this holistically. We're going to make sure we have the business development services at our SBA department, Small Business Administration Department, that would try to graduate every year at least 1,000 to 2,000 Liberian informal entrepreneurs to the formal sector.
Mr. Minister, a lot of Liberian business entrepreneurs, I mean businessmen and women, are listening to this program, and one of the problems they have is that it says CTN charges.
Am I still on?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. CTN charges imposed by previous government. They are asking whether for good ship to Liberia, whether will go away, because they want to know.
No, you're breaking up. Tomalin.
Okay. Yeah, you can hear me now. You can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. CTN charges imposed by the previous government, okay, by Liberian businesses. They actually whether it will go away. Well, are you going to work with LRA and MPA to ensure that there's reduce the high cost of import goods to Liberia? Because when these businesses impose the goods high tariffs at the port, it affects the consumers, the Liberian people, the end users, the prices, because they want to get their money back, so the prices of things will go up. How are you going to channel in? My last thing, because of time, I put it there too. People, the liberalization policy is something that Liberians are concerned about. We don't have really, we don't have a middle class. We don't have legitimate Liberian millionaires. But how can you assure Liberians that on a Liberalization Policy Act that you're going to we can see Liberian millionaires coming up in the next few years or so under that act?
So let me start with the CTN. We're looking at all these costs of doing business in a general terms, not only restricted to CTN or MedTech. But I'm pleased to tell you that jointly, LRA and the Ministry of Commerce met CTN this week. We initiated the discussions with them. We're reviewing the contract. We're looking at the economic viability of CTN, how it impacts our economy. before we make an informed decision whether to keep it or not. Okay, the general sentiments are there that CTN is irrelevant, but we want our decision to be based on facts and be based on proper assessment. We're meeting MedTech this coming week. In the same fashion, we're looking at the MedTech, the role they play, how they impact our economy, and the services they provide, if they are justifiable and if they can adjust their costs. But I can assure you already, we know for sure that within the next 2 to 4 weeks, within the next month, we will effectuate changes in the cost of doing business. There are several loopholes, there are several areas that we are going to reduce uh, the cost of doing business. We're having meetings with the port, we're having meetings with APM Terminal to also look at their agreement and look at how we engage them going forward. Okay? We are exhausting every means possible, but we're doing it in a strategic, informed manner.
Is it Peabody or me?
It's me.
The Liberianization Act.
Liberianization. Okay. Look, again, I'm a Liberian entrepreneur. I understand what it means to do business in Liberia, what it means to be marginalized, what it means to not have the incentives to grow. I understand it fully well. And I bring that perspective. I want us to look beyond those, because it was reduced from 26 to 13. Beyond those 13 businesses, we have to start thinking bigger. We have to start thinking bigger. We have to start thinking how Liberians can get into food production, how we can build sustainable cooperatives, how Liberians can pull funds together to get into manufacturing. How I mean, where are the Liberians importers of rice, of frozen food? All the IPDs I'm seeing are foreign businesses. So we're going to start by making sure that we start giving Liberians the privilege by granting them rights to bring some of those things, the opportunities, and remove those monopolies. Those are the first step to get them engaged. Many Liberians come in, I get the complaint over the last 12 years that they are not being allowed into key sectors because of these things. So we're going to open the market in a controlled manner so that we can be responsive. If one strategy doesn't work, we can easily and robustly readjust to not constrain the market. We are working on looking at structured funding mechanism towards critical sectors. If our agenda is food production, our agenda is roadworks, if our agenda is education, we must develop funding windows towards those sectors, those critical sectors, and ensure that Liberians are prioritized in receiving those funding. I was surprised to see when I'm in my initial engagements with the donors how much funding that was used, that were dedicated towards developing Liberian businesses. It might have not been done in a structured manner, and we will definitely audit those funding to know where. The Senate asked me during my confirmation of, I think, $11 million that was appropriated for small businesses. We want to see where those things were exhausted. We'll take stock of those things and we'll make sure we develop new programs that are focused, and none of our engagement is going to be secret. We'll make sure we'll be very responsive. As I said earlier, our quarterly reports, there are reports, some will be sensitive, but there are some reports that will come to the public for you to assess, some of our achievements, some of our goals, and if we're in line with the commitments we've made. The president said we're going to sign performance records, performance agreements. President's not going to make me sign performance agreement. I will not make my deputy minister or assistant minister sign similar performance agreement. Everybody over there, we're going to sign agreement and we're going to live up to that commitment.
Peabody.
Yeah.
All right.
Peabody, just before you come, I just want to just quickly, if you just give me 30 seconds to follow up on what Tomalin said with respect to liberalization policy.
Winfred, sorry to interrupt you. Winfred. And Tomalin, even though we want to graduate from those 13 businesses, but they are still law. They are still in vogue. So one of the things that we see already, there are several businesses that only Liberians should be doing, even though we want to graduate them from it, but we still see foreign enterprises doing them. We will start vigorously going after those foreign businesses. Okay.
And that's great, Minister. My only question, very quickly, guys, is that now, as we try to do that, as you try to do that, I think we all applaud that, and the listeners and everyone watching this to applaud that. But how then do you guard against protectionism?
Well, it's going to be done in a responsive way. Again, I don't think the idea of that's why I said we're going to review it. It's not only, it shouldn't be only about those 13 businesses. It's about empowering Liberians to take charge from a very diverse perspective. But those things that stay on the books, we'll try to review them if they are relevant. For example, ice making. Why should we be focused on Liberians doing ice making when we should be talking about Liberians producing drinks, beverages? I'm just saying something. So we will review those businesses that are set aside to see if they are relevant and they are in line with our strategic agenda to move this country forward. But at the same time, if the laws are in place, they should be adhered to until we make those changes in a very respectable and non-discriminatory way.
Yes, Peabody. If you give me that maybe just 20 seconds, let me just tap in. You come in. Mr. Minister, on the liberalization policy issue, I just want to quickly share with you my experience, a little experience with this when I work at the Ministry of Labor. Issuing a work permit at the Ministry of Labor is linked to having job, foreigner having job in the country. So at the Ministry of Labor, I was chair of a vetting committee to vet all work permit applications for a certain period. And when I was there, I set a criteria that, hey, for you to apply for work permit, if you are employer, give the business you work for registration document that I'm employed at this company and this is my employer. It will surprise you. Now I won't say it will surprise you because you've seen evidence of that. Most of the Lebanese that were applying were bringing, they had used clothing, they were into used cars, things that under the law, under the branch should do. And I said to my bosses, my recommendation was that we should reject all these applications and write the Ministry of Commerce to undo those business registration because first of all, it was illegal to register them. But at the senior management meeting, I was overruled on that recommendation. But it's important. And another experience is I'm a small livestock farmer. I think now I have about 200 pigs on a farm. I don't have the market in Liberia because it costs me a lot. The cost of feeding pigs, that's a lot. So I'm competing with frozen meat. If you go to real life market, the restaurant owner rather buy the frozen meat carton that is probably 6,000 Liberian dollar, compared to buying 400 pounds of pig from me that I'm going to sell to them $250 or $300. But it's a good, healthy quality meat. They don't want that. They want the unhealthy frozen meat. We made an appeal to the 54th legislature that in 2019, that we livestock farmers, we just want 10% of the market. Can you put into law that, the Commerce Ministry will only give 10%, 90% import permit to, frozen meat. The 10% give it, that's how you're going to grow domestic market. But the willingness is not there. So under your leadership, and I think if you come off a plan that in the next 2 years, we're going to reduce this, we're going to have a gradual reduction in frozen meat importation because it's very unhealthy for the market, for the population. If you do that, the very importers will start to invest in domestic production. The British Corporation, you may know this, they were having one of the largest pig farm at Lakira Mission in one of the buildings. They have 600 pigs. because I got piglet from them. Okay, but they have to slaughter everything and get rid of it because there was no need having a healthy quality meat locally produced that is a little bit priced as opposed to bring just a cheap frozen unhealthy
Yeah.
meat and dump on the market. So it's a policy choice. I think under your leadership, I see that you are having some progressive discussion. I think you should put your feet on the ground and have some markers. I'm definitely sure that in the cabinet you'll be fought. But you need to be strong on this.
So it's very complex. And we should not make haphazard decisions. We should do it strategically to empower someone like you. Give me 10% market to you will not make you competitive. I don't see it making you competitive because you still have 10% of the market, and your goods will be sold at the same price. You understand what I mean? And you still have the foreign enterprises still bringing 90% of the market of frozen food from countries that have subsidies. Several external factors make it just impossible for you to just compete with them in that manner by just giving you 10%. What we should look at, for example, one of the things that we are toying with is a value addition center, where since you are not able to process individual farmers, individual stakeholder may not have the financing to do bulk to invest in machinery, we can have that value addition center to make your process expedient and competitive, packaging your products in the right way, preserving them in the right way for the market. Also looking at sensitizing the market. Market market sensitization is key. Another thing, let me tell you something. I experienced it. We don't have a single Liberian supermarket in Liberia.
Are you kidding me?
That alone by itself is a hindrance.
True. Yep.
Yeah, that's
If you
true.
go to the States, you have the farmers market, where every Saturday or Sunday people bring their wares from the farm and sell them. We need to be creative in looking at market alternatives for Liberian businesses, graduating from the subsistence way we do things into proper packaging, preparing for export and regional markets. Take, for example, it's 6 hours, less than 6 hours from here to Freetown. Why are we not exploring markets in Freetown too? So we'll work with you guys. We're bringing in everybody and we'll develop the best strategy for it. And we're on that path before. There's an agency, donor development partners called the ITC, International Trade Center. Their sole purpose is to create market access, and they can help us in developing some of those strategies and providing developing the plans and proposals for it. And we'll engage you towards it. So we have to think outside the box.
Yeah. But Mr. Minister, a 10% thing under the Liberian Lifestyle Association, our initial proposal to the legislature was we wanted 50% share of the market. And the challenge that we didn't have, they doubted the capacity of livestock farmers in Liberia to meet market demand. So that's why we say, okay, let's start even at a bare minimum. If they can just even have a law
The
or
10%.
some regulation with commerce that 10% import is now given to Liberian, local grown, then that's a foot in the door. Now there will be a broad recognition by government that you need to have domestic mobilization on this. There are countries in West Africa, like Benin. There is not a single imported meat in Benin. Every meat that is eaten, that is put on the dining room table in Benin, is grown in Benin. Nigeria is on
Yeah.
the same path. West African
So
countries are
I
moving.
hear you. I hear
Nigeria
you, and I
is the
feel you.
biggest frozen meat market in the region.
I hear you, and I feel you. So we'll be very engaging. So what I'll ask you to do, please take my contact and let's get you on the table. I'll get you in with some of our technicians. Let's start looking at conducting a study and analysis of the market, see how we can get you in, whether it's focusing on spare. I'm just saying something, focusing on a particular type of product that you can get the best penetration. Let's study it properly. And we'll give you the resources. I will give you. We'll make our technicians at your disposal. Let's work together on this, and develop a real strategy that will have the best impact.
Thank
So,
you. I will take
You got
advantage
it.
of
can I
that. I will
All
get
right.
your number. I will take advantage of that. But I'll tell you more. I'm
Guys,
doing more than just feed.
guys,
I'm producing
Okay,
huge animal feed from cassava waste
very
just
good,
guys,
to reduce the cost of feeding my pigs.
very
one
good.
question each quickly, okay? Peabody, let's
Okay.
go. One question.
Yeah. Let me go by one question, Minister. Let me ask you here. What do you plan to do? Uh, Now we saw it seemed like the RPDs were like what the Liberian market folks would call banjo, what they were just selling and giving out, real banjo. Do you plan to audit your predecessor so that it would, because it's part of transparency. It's part of transparency that you'll be able to audit and share them with the Liberian people so they can see some of the misappropriation and abuse of public office that existed. Do you plan to do that?
So what we plan to do is not to audit my predecessor. We want to understand what we inherited, and that will be the basis of developing a strategy on the way forward. Okay, and whatsoever information we get will be public. We want to we will share that because it's imperative. It's very important that we all understand the status of each agency of government as it's received. And I hope that this process is not only applicable, with this government and considering in consideration of the previous administration. I hope we build a system that whenever new administration comes in, there should be proper turnover, there should be proper audit, not in the scope. People should not understand it as getting back at people. It should be the system in place. So definitely we need to understand that. With regards IPD, the way we see things is very critical that we understand how many IPDs have already been issued out there to make sure that we don't have monopolies, to make sure who got those IPDs, to ensure in this agenda of Liberianization that Liberians were strategically part of this process. That you don't have IPDs for rice, a critical example, just giving out to few importers, or IPD for frozen food just giving out to few importers. And our agenda is to create that environment where Liberians succeed and that the Liberian economy, our people benefit directly from those decisions we make.
Thank you. That's my one
Yeah,
question.
Lofa, quickly, and Duke.
thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Just quick question on the issue. I'm more focused on the what we would refer to as people like myself, the commoners, right? Those of us who can afford at this point in time to invest in the hotels and big things like you, Mr. Minister. We want to have access to business resources and opportunity. And that was the reason why I inquired from you initially as to what you would do technologically to enhance some of the things that you will encounter. Um, what approach do you have as a plan to make available resources to those who are in the market and looking like small businesses? Like here in the United States we have some like minority businesses, okay, those who cannot afford to do certain things, but these information are readily available. You don't have to
Exactly.
go scrambling around to get access to this information. They are out there. And in fact, it is often announced on Vera Radio's station, and I mean, it's just out there. What plan do you have to make these kind of opportunities available for Lofa Julius, Mom Mary in the markets and other places to utilize them to their fullest and take advantage of them?
Okay. So look, to be to be where I am in the private sector, it required a lot of work and sacrifices. Let's
Hmm.
establish that.
Hmm.
Okay. When I came back from the US in 2006, I took the first loan of $30,000.
Okay.
I paid that loan. We started off with 6 bedrooms. We paid that loan, took another $100,000, expanded to 10 bedrooms, put in a conference room, and that's how we expanded. Okay, until recently when we all were constrained with the economy and had and defaulted in our loans. But the process of taking loans, taking financing, and being able to pay back should be made available to Liberians, and Liberians remain accountable and responsible to pay back those loans. People credit everywhere. That's the only way you're going to expand. Uh, our role is to create that environment where the financing options are available. You were online when I said this, Lofa. I said that we've already met three banks. The
Okay.
entire this week and next week we were meeting several banks, and I think they are all enthusiastic about this agenda of providing strategic financing to Liberian businesses. They are risks, they have concerns, and we'll work together with the banks to address some of those concerns in terms of paying back, and having collateral. But we'll work towards providing funding access to strategic sectors that are in line with our agenda. We can't do everything one time. My brother spoke about agriculture. Agriculture is a priority of the president and his agenda. We'll make sure there's a vehicle for supporting Liberians in food production, be it livestock or crops. We'll look at tourism. Hospitality is part of the arrest agenda. We'll make sure that we have funding to boost the tourism sector. In many countries, tourism is under trade because tourism is a tradable service. And as I said earlier, our mandate is to develop, is to support all of those agencies. The tourism plan that we have now was derived from the Ministry of Commerce when I was there. We did a diagnostic trade integration study in 2007, 2008 that highlighted tourism as one of the key economic driver as a tradable service. Okay, and is the focus of the president. So we'll try to provide funding to stimulate that sector. Roadworks, again, developing the roads, we must try to empower Liberian contractors to be able to tap into some of those contracts, maybe by financing the performance bonds and so forth. We have to be creative in those things. But I can assure you, we have already started working with the banks. And again, as I said, we realized in my initial engagement with the development partners, millions and millions of dollars have been appropriated through donor funding to develop the private sector. We aggressively tap into those funding mechanisms.
So, Mr. Minister, just quickly, guys, if you allow me to, just for clarity's sake, how accessible would those opportunities be made available to the majority of the people? Because Liberia is known for just the top 1%. They get it, and then the folks in the market, Lofa Julius and them, don't get it.
Well, look
How?
at you ordinary man. Why you keep calling your name like you market man?
Hold on. Why can't I be?
Yeah, you keep acting like you selling the market. Yeah.
No, so
Based on the
Lofa,
problem.
Lofa, again, hold me to this. As I said earlier, we'll be very transparent and we'll be very responsive in the sense that all our agenda, our reports,
Okay.
what is not sensitive will be put out there for everyone to assess.
Okay.
Our strategic plan for the next 5 years, when it's done, it will be published for the public to hold us accountable to those actions.
Thank you.
And in saying that, any funding mechanism that we receive will be made public. We'll advertise it. We'll allow Liberians to compete for it. And there's a program already that we know that we just got approved in the last couple of I think in the last 2 years, but funding has just started coming in the last few months of the previous administration that provides funding for Liberian private sector. We're not just going to accept those funding as they were developed. We have started the process of re-engaging the development partners, the World Bank, and the team managing it to make sure that our priorities are in sync, to make sure that they will be appropriated for those businesses that we want to target, and it will be made public. I can assure you of it.
So let me ask my one question. Quickly. You said something that struck a nerve with me when you talked about tourism. I mean, Minister Modad. I'm gonna call you. Sorry.
It's okay.
You said something, and one of the things that I think we have not done well, and I really am going to hold you to this, even though you're Minister of Commerce, but I think you can work with the NIC, you can work with the tourism folks, I'm going to hold you to this, and it's personal for me. Let me tell you why. I really believe we have undersold Liberia. I don't think we have done a good job at marketing Liberia, right? Marketing the image of our country. We have walking memorials in our country. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is one. Like him or hate him, George Weah is another, right? We have Patawi, we have all of these. Winfrey the other day was doing a series driving around. We have all of these things. I don't know if people ask me, what is Liberia known for, right? Like you talk about Gambia, the Smiley Coast of West Africa, Ghana, Year of the Return, all of these different things and I think they're stealing it from us, right?
Exactly.
Because these are our inheritance, to be quite honest with you. The whole Year of the Return thing Ghana ran with, we had a bicentennial. We were only focused on just the surface. I want to charge you, and I mean, it's also a question, but it's also a charge, right? Because I think there's billions of dollars that we have wasting. What are tapping into? You look at the jersey of Arsenal, you see visit Rwanda. I mean, simple things like these, right? What is going to be your role because I know tourism is a part of the president's arrest agenda. He's something he campaigned on, right? What is going to be your role in the rebranding of Liberia to be able to attract people? Because you can fix the business registry and tell people you can register business online, but if that attraction is not there, nobody is going to come. What are you going to be able to do to get us to leapfrog in that direction, where if somebody Google Liberia, they can see something that can just say, hey, I want to go there. What is going to be your role and how are you going to do it?
So the first thing is Liberia historical past makes it an ideal destination for globally Africans, people of Negro descent. And I agree with you, Ghana ran with this, Senegal ran with this.
Yeah.
Talk about the land of the return.
Mm-hmm.
Where the slaves, the market the slave things. For God's sake, this is where
exactly the
people
country
came back and grew the identity in an independent way. Why can't we market it?
Mm-hmm.
In 2007, if you remember, I think 7 or 8. 2007, when Bob Johnson came to Liberia. I used to be at the NIC. And he came with Cicely Tyson, who acted in Roots.
Roots, yes.
This woman, before Cicely came to Liberia, she wanted to see the Prophetess Island.
Mm.
All in her emails to us. The only place, because she acted in that slave movie, she researched the Prophetess Island. This woman wanted to see Prophetess Island. And when from the airport, the first place that woman said we should take her was the Providence Island. It was a disgrace. The woman cried.
Wow.
Wow. The filth, the trash. The woman started blasting at us.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Blasting at us. She wanted to get into the water, feel the sand.
Oh, you're coming to walk in.
Man, the feces are all over the place. It was so embarrassing. But saying that, I think the previous government started that when they started renovating the Providence Island.
The Providence Island, yes.
Yes, it was a good step. We'll take it further and try to build upon that. In 2006, when I was running a WTO program, 2007, we did a Visit Liberia movie. One day I was watching CNN and I saw Visit what's the place name? Indonesia.
They have these ads. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That blew me, and I got funding from the WTO. We did a beautiful video. We don't see it. I didn't see it anywhere around. But proactively, as I said before, we're gonna make sure that our trade policy informs our foreign relations.
Great.
One of the plans we have at every embassy in the world where Liberia is represented, you'll find brochures about Liberia that will tell you what Liberia is about. We'll make sure that we encourage them to play those videos in their lobbies, in their reception areas, where people, once you get in there.
Can we mandate SM Brussels to play it? Can we mandate
We can mandate them. But yes, those airlines should
Yeah,
be
yeah.
able to play before
I mean,
you even
if you put a good product together, they will do that. Ben.
exactly. We can work with them. So we're exploring, and because we're in the tourism industry, we know those things. We develop the tourism strategy.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something.
All right, I was shaking his head, man.
When we're working on the tourism strategy and the agenda, I was doing that in tandem with my counterparts in Rwanda and Sierra Leone. The agenda for tourism was holistic. First, for example, you can bring people in here if you don't have tourism curriculum, hospitality curriculum in the universities. We look at restoring our historical sites. We look at training tour guides. It was holistic. We did not implement it. Within the first year, Sierra Leone implemented theirs. They saw more than $3 million within the first year as direct contribution towards the tourism ticket.
Wow.
I went to Rwanda. I saw how they used their genocide to promote the tourism sector. They have the genocide memorial there, well constructed, done in such a way. They marketed this thing, and people from all over the world go to see that memorial and learn from it. We have the war that we could teach the world lesson against war. We have our historical background as the first independent country in Africa, done for free, developed for free slaves. We can market that.
I mean, but look at this park they just built at PHP. That would have a missed opportunity to put a memorial there. I mean,
no, there is a memorial.
No, I mean memorializing those 13 people who were killed there.
So one of the things that came up at the cabinet meeting yesterday was how like the park can be developed and can be more sustainable.
Yeah.
To make sure that it is maintained well.
It doesn't run down. Yes.
It doesn't run down, and it generates income. So we're looking at all those things. There are several things on the table that we're looking at, and you'll see some of those things evolve, and the public will get to know about them shortly.
Thank you.
It's about the vision. I mean, look,
it's about
Minnesota is a cold weather state. I think all you guys know Minnesota is a cold weather state. But guess what? We generate $22 million in tourism every year. 22 billion dollars in tourism from a cold weather state, and we do not have the kind of asset tourism asset that we have in Liberia.
No, we don't. Liberia, Lake Piso is a wetland of international importance on the record with UNESCO. You have our rainforest that could become a tourism haven. You look. I mean, we just have them. We haven't just focused on tourism. And I'm glad that in the meeting yesterday, in the cabinet meeting, I asked the president. I said, "But Mr. President, the last thing in arrest should be trade because tourism under trade." He said, "No, tourism is my focus. So trade will be under tourism or beside tourism." So he's focused on tourism. Okay, and one of the things that he's focused on also is making the tourism bureau independent from the Ministry of Information, Culture, and Tourism, so that it has its mandate to push the tourism agenda.
So
Mr. Minister, thanks. I think you've done justice to the president's agenda. I must say that we have to be honest here. Your eloquence, familiarity with the small business, the private sector stands out tonight, and you come off as progressive, and I want to say thanks for that. All of the conversation we've had over the past few minutes is something that, I enjoy because, I've been, fortunate to have actually, experienced that and been at the forefront. And I will say this shortly. The first thing here is that, as part of my question, is you mentioned, this importance of, the Ministry of Commerce and all of the things it does. But I noticed that, you talk about the Small Business Administration is one of those key components that can really drive the kind of business relationship in communities. And I'll be more practical as I expand on that. But I looked at, I've been to the Ministry of Commerce site. We have other areas of the Ministry of Commerce wherein there's more detail. There's not really much in terms of SBA. even intellectual properties. I've seen one of the last time, I believe yesterday, we had Frank Gattuso, a young man who's promoting this movie that's actually making headways. And some of the concerns of some of these individuals, it's got to copyright infringement and not too much protection, right? When it comes to intellectual property, the Ministry of Commerce got a section on intellectual property, but there's nothing there to actually shows that it means business. Those are just things that I would want you to speak to see how best we can improve that side, and then to just bring everything up. The SBA has got to be more involved in the community. I know the importance because look, one of the cases that is one of the fortunate moments of my law career had to do with a little town Gastonian, right? And I use that because it reminds me so much about Liberia. The reason why there was surge in economic activities in that region is a Black community, poverty-stricken, drug-infested, but they understood there was potential. And SBA, the government, became a success in that area because of the relationship between the SBA, the Chamber of Commerce, and actually matching opportunities to young entrepreneurs and even tapping into community college. I used to speak on financial issues to community colleges as well, even retirees there. And I know how that particular section, can help in transforming. So maybe an after-hour social led by the Small Business Administration, the Ministry of Commerce, inviting professionals from the banks, from the farmers, from entrepreneurs, coming a meeting and just discussing about opportunities. I think it could be a really, strong driving force. I have benefited from it because a lot of relationships and a lot of growth in terms of assets for corporations I've worked with has come from those engagements, just matching consumers to opportunities, the SBA capital, right? Farmers capital, small business capital as well. And I think there's a way that we can tell a unique story. We can actually bring the ministry to the public to just let them know, look, this is why we're here. And these are the things that you have access to. I think we'll be able to bring more clarity. But I would really, please just look at, the intellectual property, the SBA. Let's try to make it work for the people. I think those are different components that can drive the level of success as well. But I must commend you. This was brilliant. And I hope that all of the things you're doing can be brought to fruition.
Thank you, dude. Watch me, and hold me accountable.
Robert, then
Yeah.
with the line.
Well, let me go to question. I know you guys been having some jolly good time with the minister. You guys having some. The only thing I'm looking for is when you guys gonna have the tea party. So, but let me ask you this. To Robert question, early on your business, who in charge of your business right now?
My wife is in charge of my business, along with several management teams. So all my businesses are independently run by management teams. And just as I was the focal person, she has become the focal person.
I believe that you and your wife, you said your wife, so you guys are one by law. So basically, you stay in charge of your business.
So you want me to turn over my business to 100, but the ownership and the operation of my business to someone else? Look, it's about being a responsible professional and being a responsible government official. I have done all I can in the public manner, not in the closet, to dissociate myself from the operation of the business. It is left of you, the public, to hold me to that. If you see me involved in any way that contravenes the code of ethics, bring me to book on it. But I'm not going to turn my businesses over to strangers. Secondly, that's why we have management teams. I have the appropriate management team to support my wife from all my businesses, my 3 companies, and they will support her. And lastly, as I told you, in separating myself from my business, I take my role as Minister of Commerce seriously. One of the key issues there will be the conflict of interest. If you ever find that my businesses are engaged with the Ministry of Commerce, make it public. And I know JMB is not going to joke around it. Make it public and let me be held responsible for it. Now, what I suggest you do, Keff, what I suggest you do, what I suggest you do, Keff, what I suggest you do, what I suggest is not a conflict of interest. See, it's not a conflict of interest. Is about what I do that breaks the code of
Okay,
ethics.
that becomes conflict of interest.
There is nothing against the law. I needed to dissociate myself from the running of the business. Even the bank accounts have been turned over to her, so you never see me involved in any of the transaction of the business. What time do I have to focus on doing running the Ministry of Commerce and run three enterprises? I don't. I can divide myself. What you should be concerned of, and what the public, I encourage the public to hold all of us who are appointed to public positions to this is that we implement our mandate, we do our job, and we don't mix our personal businesses, personal enterprises with those institutions. And rest assured, you're not going to find that. Look at my deliverables. If I don't deliver, then make it an issue. If I don't live up to the expectation, ask the president to sack me. But I can assure you, I have dissociated myself from my businesses as the law allows me to do so.
Good enough.
Robert.
Thank you. Let me. I'll ask you a question, and hopefully, because a lot was said. But we will hold you to that, and I will leave it at
Thank
that.
you.
Like I said earlier, I trust your professionalism. You've done a lot, you invested a lot, and I understand your concerns. But I hope that you understand the concerns of the public,
No, it's reasonable. It is reasonable. It's justified.
especially from the political end. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Mr. Minister. The fact of the matter is, I know Ben made reference to Ghana and other countries. Ghana has a tourism, authority. They raised close to $3.4 billion in 2022.
Yeah.
The Jamaicans, they have a Ministry of Tourism, and they were close to $5 billion. And these countries are not better than us; they're smarter than us. They don't have more expertise than we do. We just have not gotten the job done. And I'm speaking
Exactly.
this issue because this is my area of expertise, and I know we can get it done. And there's this, and unless we seriously tourism and prioritize tourism, where tourism is not at the battlefield of the Ministry of Information, sorry to say, nothing gets done. I mean, it's just a reality. Serious country who understands the economic benefits and economic influence and power of tourism in the private sector job growth understands what needs to be done. And I'm hoping that the Joseph Boakai does the right thing. You need to create a tourism board. You need to create a tourism ministry. You need to create a tourism authority. Follow the steps that the Ghanaians have followed, the Jamaicans have followed, and recruit the right professionals to get the job done. And that's when it gets done. But let me ask you about the practicality of all of these different promises. How realistic? How realistic? I mean, in the next few weeks, we'll be talking about the president's first 90 days in office, right? Big promises have been made. Lots of pressure. Expectations are being told to manage. How realistic are you guys when it comes to the implementation of these promises? How realistic you think you guys are?
Look, I really believe even the focus of the first cabinet was on the 100-day deliverables. Okay, we've gone a lot into the few weeks into the 100-day deliverable period. But I think they're realistic. Most of them have low hanging fruits that we can achieve. We've already started doing a lot of those. The president is very, very critical on it. If you look at, for example, at the Ministry of Commerce, we did not overpromise. In a sense, one of the things that we made sure that that is enshrined within our 100-day delivery is the institutional reforms, and we have started those institutional reforms. We've started assessing the institutions, started assessing our mandate to make sure that it's in line with what we want to do. We also committed to begin our strategic plan. We've already started working on those things. We've already built in the team to look at the strategic plans. We look at the cost of doing business in Liberia. We've already started those meetings, those public engagement and stakeholder engagement to make sure that we the policy changes that we make over the next few weeks are informed. A lot of those things you will see it in place. So I think uh, even if we implement 90% of those deliverables, who have achieved so much and who have had impact, it's what happens after 90 days. Okay, we need to begin, and that's what we have started to do. The president has mandated us to also start working on developing a platform for the national development agenda, which goes beyond the 90 days. And it's part of those things that we would jumpstart now. And we have an aim that within the next 3 to 6 months, we must have gone far into developing a full-fledged national development agenda. By July, within the next 6 months, we'll have that in place. So we are working towards it, and I'm glad that there's a general enthusiasm from the legislature, from the other branches of government to support this agenda. Don't forget, and I'm not saying this again to criticize the previous administration, but there are a lot of wrong footings that we're starting with in this process. We're starting with issues with the electricity. We're starting with debt, to Ivory Coast on the electricity. We're approaching we're approaching we're in the dry season where the output of the hydro is low, but yet still, we're on the verge of losing our supply. But I think we're making positive steps to preserve that. We have, local obligations that we are trying to settle, including payroll. So we are starting off at a point where, you know we're making effort. Let me just say this: we're making effort. I'm very confident that, when you aim high, it's good to aim high. If you accomplish a part of it, and it will be great. We're being held to that mandate. The president said yesterday that we always sign performance contracts, performance agreements, and it's a good step into making sure that we fight to deliver.
Okay, guys, we only got 15 minutes for you, so we just want to take a few calls quickly in the last 15 minutes, so we'll let you go. So, yeah, guys, let's take some calls quick. Heron and Duke, Lofa, help us with calls quick, please.
Yeah.
Few calls from the
Let me open up the
public.
phone line here. We'll take the calls from Liberia first, and then we'll take the calls from the diaspora second. Henry, go ahead, sir.
$770-176-35. The motor call is going to be live on the closing argument. 0-770-176-35. The motor call and you're going to be live. 0-770-176-35. The motor call. To this caller. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How do you do?
How are you?
I'm okay.
Your name from where you join us?
My name is Eddie, and I'm joining from Kansas City.
Ebi who?
Eddie Carr.
Okay, Ebi, go ahead. 1 minute.
Yeah, I want to appreciate the minister in studio. He has talked, he has played well on on his operation as related to the ministry. Who's that? So in this case, what I do not really agree with it has to do with the electricity, because if we're playing on the electricity side, that I will not agree with you, because this government was the one that built the hydro. So on that one, I will not agree with you. All they can do is to invest all effort to restore electricity. So I want to appreciate you so much for explaining, and I hope that they achieve them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. 770-176-35. That's the number to call, and then you're going to be live. To this caller. Good morning. Oh, no, we lost that caller. 770-176-35. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Your name from where you join us?
My name is Ibrahim.
Ibrahim, you have to be audible a bit, please.
Thank you. I want to say thanks to the minister for coming on the show today. I want to ask the minister. Sometimes if the trust ministry come out with a regulation, causing down prices on rail commodity and transportation, I want to know whether there will be transportation drivers or those who are selling basic commodities in the transportation, the commerce ministry come out with any regulations, with any practice.
Okay.
Should I answer?
We'll take just 3 more callers and then we'll turn back to the minister. To this caller, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Your name from where you join us?
Okay, I'm Reginald Tomato Gian. I call from my residence in Joseph. Let me say answer to the Minister of Commerce. I think Muda brings that professionalism and in-depth into the commerce of our country. And I think the issue about the issue of full disclosure that has to do with business, I think it's a long issue because I said man who has an investment over $3.4 million to tell you this what any just begin to any dictator and have it in the name of saying that he's the commerce minister. I think our focus should be how does he expand the commerce of our country? How does he encourage local content that can be able to enhance and empower like businesses, because we need to have a middle class income country. We don't have it, we do not have the capacity, and those 13 areas that are very specifically for like businesses are not adequate enough to elevate the business up to this level. I think I want you to keep your heads high up, and I think you have the right agenda that can put this country for us. The days of politics are over, and let us see how we can unite and unanimously improve our investment coming. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. 770-176-35, that's the number to call, and then you're going to be live. To this caller, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Yeah, my name is Steve Wolistago calling from Pinzo. I got 2 questions for the minister.
Go ahead.
Minister, your wife taking all your business. In case in the future there's a court case against your wife because of breach of contract or taxation, what will you do as a minister? Will you recuse yourself from the ministry, or will you stay as minister while your wife is ongoing the court case? The second question is the Lebanese or the Indian that's selling and prosper, and we are not doing it. What is the thing? Do you think you can ask the Lebanon to lead the Senate of the Senate and the process in Liberia as minister?
Okay. You answer you. We'll take just 2 more and then we'll turn back. At 770-176-35. To this caller, good morning.
Yeah, hello.
How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Your name from where you join us?
I'm Oscar Doma, calling from Supo.
Okay, Oscar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a little point.
What's your point?
The point there is to the minister in studio. We are sorry for the electricity business. When the government got in power, we're having electricity or it's import bridge. But the crowd and that was certain part of the community. Coming just instantly and not instantly when the transformer had problem, we see no people who come around the system. And we are sorry for our so for the government. It is a serious problem for us now. I invite the minister and CEO, let him try to remedy it so that he can able to try to work on this thing.
Okay, thank you. The last caller, and then we'll turn back to the panelists. 770-176-35, that's the number to call. So this caller, good morning.
Hello.
How are you? Your name from where you join us?
My name is and I join you from the world.
Okay, Joseph, for 1 minute. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to ask the minister in the studio. Minister, thank you for the explicit evaluation. My question is, you are one of the key members of the government. What is your advice in regard to the Senate position of the president is appointed?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. It is back to
Honestly,
you guys.
All right,
Mr.
we got a caller here.
Mr.
We got a caller here, Tomalin. One call on the line here from here. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for having me. So, first of all, my first question to the minister is this: will his ministry do business with criminals from the United States? That's one. The second question here is: how can the government reduce the prices of goods that they do not have control over? Let's say things like gas and rice without the use of subsidy. And the last question to the minister is that I'll leave that one for that. That's okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Want to say thank you for the questions. Mr. Madad will give you the opportunity to answer the questions that the callers asked and the comments they made, and then we'll be able to take legal for you. But I want to say thank you for being the first member of the cabinet of this new government to appear on our platform. We have made a lot of breaking news tonight. A lot of librarians have been listening and following the show. A lot of commitments have been made, and we're looking forward to you. We want to wish you success in your endeavors as you serve as our Minister of Commerce. As we always say, serve our nation well and make the generation proud. You can answer the question, Mr. Minister. Thank you.
Thank you. So to the first guy, again, just as if I was there, I will be held accountable for any any malperformance of my business. Those are institutions that go beyond the individual who runs it. So while I'm not there, my wife is the overhead boss, but you also have managers in each side. And if they break the law, they should be held accountable. If my wife makes any decision that contravenes the law, she should be held accountable. She accepted that role. So there's nothing to say there. Again, I'm clear that there's a very fine line between me accepting this role as Minister of Commerce and what I need to do in terms of the code of conduct and ethics. I'm gonna live by it. So if Berakasa is sued for any appropriate action, she's going to go there to account for it. If the law believes, I'm not above the law. If the law believes that with my association with the business, or because she's my wife and I have ownership in it, despite me recusing myself, that I should be called upon to answer questions, I will have to. So, but I can assure you of what I'll do to protect and to live by the code of conduct. In terms of foreigners engaged in sand mining, those are some of the things we're looking at. There are several businesses that, as I said before, that foreigners should not be doing by law and are doing that. We'll look into that. Again, we've just been in office in less than 3 weeks, so we are trying to not only assess the institution we are taking over, but put quick measures to make sure that we are doing the right thing. So we'll get into all that, looking at those businesses that I've set aside for Liberian businesses. There are several issues relevant to that. Some of these businesses are operating, they have Liberians registered as the owners or partners or shareholders. We need to conscientize our Liberian brothers and sisters too, that when the foreigners put you in front of these things as shareholders, you must be getting some benefit from it, not just for the name. And I've already started having meetings, one or two young people who have been put forward as owners of Eastern mining companies. They have come up to me, and we're trying to guide them in the process too. So we're working at those things. Uh, no, we will not do business with any criminal. That's simple as that. Whether in the U.S. or here, we won't do business with any criminal, and we'll try to make sure that all criminals or all those who operating against the ambit of the law will be held accountable. In terms of the price of commodities, again, there are exogenous factors that we cannot control, but it's our responsibility to create the environment where and create policies and regulations and systems where we can circumvent the impact of those external things. For example, the prices of commodities that globally is increasing due to the Ukraine war. The cost of shipping is increasing because they have to bypass the Suez Canal and taking longer period to come to destinations. Those are things we cannot control, but we can work on easing the cost of the process of doing business in Liberia. We can work on reducing some of those costs. We can work on, reducing the time it takes to do business or clear a container from the port, the time it takes to register your business, the response time from LRA or the Ministry of Commerce. Those all have cost on doing business, and those are the things we will work on. And definitely, they will impact the cost of commodities on the market. Businesses are there to make profit, but we will very much be very meticulous and very aggressive to ensure that they are not making profit out of the expense on the expense of the Liberian people. We are analyzing, our price analysis department will become incapacitated to look at some of those things. Let me tell you something I saw these few days, and you know what, I'm learning a lot of things, but I'm just seeing this out there. In evaluation of the IPDs, one of the things that I noticed that we're going to take action on immediately next week, we see an IPD for apples from 3 different companies. My guys weren't doing these things. I told them to bring all the IPDs for apples, all the IPDs for chicken feed. I sat on myself looking at the prices, the quotations from all of them. I saw an IPD for apple with the value of $5,000 for a 40-foot container, 3,700 for shipping. I saw another IPD for sing apples for $16,000. Why the discrepancy? Those are questions we're not asking before. I personally went into the supermarkets that imported those things. I've been taking photos to see how much they are selling apples. One of those companies selling apple $2.75 a pound. You, the same person that declare a price that makes apple for the cost you show was 65 cents a kg. We're gonna ask those questions. We're not gonna harass them, but we're gonna ask those questions. You cannot make 500% of profit and think it will fly. It's not gonna fly. We'll reduce the price of commodities in a way that is profitable for our business partners, our people who are doing business, but reasonable enough for our people. Thank you.
Ben, Ben, can you the minister can get his closing comments, and then you can tell him goodbye for us, Ben.
Yeah, let him do his closing. Mr. Minister,
Closing comments, the minister.
Well, guys, thank you. It was a pleasure being on, and again, we'll be a responsive. We run a responsive ministry. We're not shy away from these engagements. We want the people to know what we're doing, the constraints we are experiencing. Will be very informative. I look forward to participating more often across the board with several of the online platforms and local platforms. Rest assured, I'm not going to shy away. This is beyond politics. We have had election. I think the dispensation of this government is to move forward to run an inclusive environment where we all can contribute towards the nation building. And I think the press, your platforms like yours, play a crucial role in holding us to the mantle. Let's do that in a very productive way. I can assure you, some of us are open to it. To the Liberian people, I reassure you of our commitment, my commitment as Minister of Commerce. I assure you of the mandate that we are getting from the president as the key chief executive is focused on empowering Liberians and making sure we have a sustainable, predictable, and supportive environment. And we're working towards that. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Minister, I want to thank you for taking the time. And like you rightly said, the elections are over. It is in all of our interests to see your government succeed. I have this mantra that we don't have 6 years to waste. So it is not in any at least any patriotic Liberian interest to say that the government of Liberia should fail. Having said that, I think it's important, like you rightly said, I have a slogan. Yesterday, I was going hard on you guys a little bit, that you are governing a country now in the 21st century, right? The things that used to fly 10, 15, 6 years ago don't fly today, right? Every citizen is a journalist because they have a smartphone. And so I think your approach is commendable, being proactive, stepping ahead of the pack, and encourage your colleagues in the cabinet to do the same thing, because you guys are one pack, right? You're now running the Ministry of the Republic of Ministry of Commerce. So it's in all of their interests to get proactive and to get ahead of the information in serving the public. But I want to thank you and I wish you well, my friend and brother. You know how much I hold you in high regards, from Chairman of Unity Party all the way now Minister of Commerce. Congratulations in this public manner on your win. But we wish you well. We wish you well. And like I said, we will hold you accountable. I personally will hold you accountable because I know a lot of the things that you were talking about, things that we discussed personally, and you're now in a position of power to be able to move the needle. You may not be able to do everything, but I expect that you will be able to move the needle. And so we're honored to have you on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So are we making parting comment?
Thank you, sir.
Yep. So the minister, we will let go of the minister, and then
I really wanted one question from him to ask the minister, but it's okay.
the minister say
but guys, I think we had a great show, and most of the questions that Ben said, the ministers made a lot of breaking news, and like people will hold you accountable, like he said. And I want to say that look, for the first minister to appear is good. I mean, he came on a platform that people see different way, but diverse platform, and it's a good thing. And Winfrey, I want to say thanks, man, for making this so happen too. You're very instrumental. It's good.
Yeah.
We encourage our minister. I know the minister of transport, he's also watching, so he will just tell me he'll be coming too. So guys, let us continue to do it big for Liberia. We're holding accountable and do our best. So guys, we're gonna give our parting comments.
Kev, congratulations. Your Trump won the South Carolina primary since you're wearing a cap.
Yeah, but let me just close here. I think the minister was knowledgeable. He knew exactly when it comes to the Liberian economy, the market, and all of that, businesses and all of that. I think he touched on all, and he touched on it very well. My only disappointment with the minister is he can't say straight up that he's going to audit his predecessor.
Yes,
but that RPD was very disturbing. Very disturbing, and I think somebody need to be held accountable for illegally issuing or selling those kind of things, because I don't think it was benefiting the Liberian people, and someone need to be held responsible and need to be made public. But other than that, I think he seemed to be the right person for the job, and I think if given the opportunity, I think he would do well. I wish him well, and I think we need to see more Liberian businesses. We need more Liberian involved in the
hopefully the airport thing, they will fix the airport thing, because you have a consistent voice on the airport thing.
I'm very disappointed, to be honest, because something that won't exist in Ghana, you have a free flow in Liberia. You take your airport business launch and give it to a Ghanaian to run that whole business. And the first phase when people come in that country, you eating Ghanaian food. That will never happen.
Peabody's problem is the jollof rice.
But Peabody, Peabody is not just the airport; it's the private sector. They run the entire private sector business-wise. The foreigners do.
Yeah, which is disappointing. Liberia need to have the opportunity. Liberia can do it. They just need to be encouraged. Boost them a little bit. But I wish the minister best, and I think I want to applaud him for taking the opportunity to come on, because people come over, you go on that show. All of that.
But you have to be careful that ECOWAS is one economic region, and I think the trade integration
so then why they don't do trade in the other country? I live in Ghana.
Not because you have not taken advantage of it doesn't mean others cannot.
No, man, Caleb, really?
No, that's not the same thing.
Liberian will run a Ghanaian.
That would never happen.
Never do that in Ghana. I live in Ghana for many years.
No, man.
You can't even do that.
Yeah, for me, I think that it's not. And my issue, Peabody, and I agree with you, not to cut you off, right? My issue is not that we don't have Liberians. This very Ami Modad, who was just on this show, I understand applied.
He applied, yes.
He said he applied for several of the stores.
Yes.
Several of the shops.
And he was denied. Because he was opposition at the time.
I think those are political reasons. Normally, Liberians are not given the opportunities to raise phones like the foreigners, and they respect the voices, the connection. They don't have those things. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of work to do.
But Liberian can be chef.
We have all Lebanese supermarket in our country. I was surprised too, though.
That is true. There's no Liberian owned supermarket. That is true.
But that is true, Ben.
I don't know that.
But Ben,
one question I want to ask: Why all the RPDs were enforcing food? Why is that?
No, Tomalin, let me tell you, guys. Yeah, it's an issue. The issue is, you see, I listen to Peabody talking about illegality. There is no regulation on how many RPD you can issue per month, per week.
There's no cap. There's no
cap. Why forcing food?
So the idea is the whole idea of
issue. They investigate and find out why were issue.
Honestly,
the
last
fund, they did it. They are accountable. They shouldn't let them get away with it.
2016,
Yeah,
she
whoever
issued a
the
mandate
minister was,
to actual
Mama
audit
needs
to
to be
capture
held
that.
accountable. She needs to be held accountable.
Exactly. She needs to be held accountable. I support that.
Yeah.
A child
So
should give account of the right subsidy. She got to, and why she afraid of to go on any platform to talk because the right subsidy.
The question is, why can't he says, I want to understand what I inherited. Well, how do you understand what you inherited if you don't audit? So why?
He doesn't have to use the word audit.
He doesn't have to use the word audit.
There's a reason why he's being political. All right.
Exactly.
I don't think he has to use the word audit. And
I mean, he just doesn't want to. He just doesn't want to be seen as coming across as.
Agree. And if you notice,
the public does not understand audit. Audit is just basically look at the system and process.
Yes.
You know.
And Robert, if you notice,
there was a pathway there.
If there's an established procedure here, the Mr. Sanvee followed this procedure to do XYZ, no or yes. Then the audit, the audit.
Should not give RPDs up just like giving it, giving people.
If you notice, guys, if you notice the way
making money out of it, you're making money.
If you notice the way he was even speaking, right? You saw he was very careful. Every time he was getting ready to talk about the past, he said, "I'm not trying to throw them under the bus."
I mean, he's professional.
I mean, as a diplomat. He's a politician. He's a politician, not even a diplomat per se. He's a politician. Trust me.
No, I mean, I think he was
a politician.
But Tomalin, let's go back to this whole why Liberians don't have a supermarket. I think one of the fundamental issues, at least what I've heard. And maybe some of you have this experience I can chime in. And that issue is that, and I think it comes down to the lack of trust fundamentally amongst us. Many of those folks you see, many of those Lebanese, I don't like to talk about foreigners and all of that, but I mean many of those folks who are there who have supermarkets and all of that, many of those enterprises, guys, is partnership, okay? And even here, I was talking to a number of friends of mine in the Liberian Business Association, and they were scratching their head. They were struggling to find people who Liberians who want to come together and partner, like 4 or 5 guys come together, pool their resources. That's part of what we don't have back home. We don't have a lot of folks. So why can't Ben, Tomalin, Keff, why can they all come together and form a supermarket? Why can't pull our resources to put a supermarket together? There's nothing that's stopping us from doing that. But folks don't trust each other. It's a whole fundamental issue of lack of trust, in the country that people don't want to do it. I remember when I was on the city council, guys. My city manager asked me, because there were a couple of small business projects going on. Said, there was, I don't know if we talked about it, guys, when you guys were here, Ben and Tomalin, but there's this big building, real quickly. There's this building here, commercial building in Brooklyn Park, for example, where you have, all these Liberian businesses, micro businesses all over the place, right? And the owner of the business was trying. You remember? I think we talked about that when you guys were here. But the owner of the business was trying to sell the business. So the city came to them. They were going to kick them out. The city came to them and said, "Look, why don't all you guys come together, get a master leaseholder, and buy this building?" Nobody wanted to do that. None of these guys could come together. And I think that speaks to the part of the issue where you see going on there back home, why you see why we don't have a Liberian owning a supermarket, for example, because it calls for pulling resources together to be able to do that.
But there are Lebanese and there are other folks who owns supermarkets. They're not necessarily a partner, but I do get
no, Robert. Honestly, many of those guys, you may see the front who is managing it. Trust me, dude. Many of those guys, many of those enterprises you see, they were partnerships. They pooled resources. They were not funded by one individual. I mean, Facebook, for example, It's not, you know, I mean, these are partnerships.
No, I get the point. Let me say in my closing. Let me say this. Look, we all know that there are massive corruption in the system, right? And this is why the status quo don't want any kind of serious change, and they know the folks who will change the system. He talked about the different IPDs and the different prices on the market. Think about this. Have you wondered why, when you ship a container to Liberia, you do not know what you're going to pay to get that container clear at the port until that container arrives in Liberia? I asked this question, and I've been asking this question, why is that? In major countries, in serious countries, you have that information, you can budget that information. You know exactly what the cost of clearing duties and things like that. When you get there, when you get to the airport, everyone have their own different prices. Everyone, people are paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 more than they should even be paying. So the question here, and I hope that his ministry and his government actually address this: how can the government be transparent with the people? The government can only be transparent to the people if they do not have themselves ulterior motives, to enrich themselves and pocket themselves. But overall, I thought it was a great interview. I've been getting a lot of text messages that
he get a lot of assurances, and I think I hope, like Ben said, we wish him well, man. I would encourage my millionaire friends, that Tiola Gibson, Alvin Logan in Indiana, to go and invest in Liberia. These are people that got money, they're money long. Tiola Gibson, Alvin Logan, you guys should think about investing in the country. You guys money that long,
so that they thought that we asked some of the tough questions, right? They thought we was a little bit relaxed with them. But look, it's his first time on the platform. I don't think this will be his last time on the platform. But overall, I thought it was a very, very great.
But the giant conversations where people ain't fighting and cussing and arguing.
Everything got to be bombastic.
Everybody got to be making noise. They expect that Keff to come to be boxing the man. Look, people understand election finish. People governing the country now. There are people governing the country now. There's notion that you got to go and the people got to be yelling.
But Ben, to your point, I think Keff was strong, but
he was. He asked the question about his family, his wife. So what else you wanted the people?
Question legitimate. I mean, the man answered the question. I got put the in the public. I like how he answered the question.
Yeah.
But I hope this opens the door for other ministers, because they had an
hopefully they all come,
I know. I can assure you the Minister of Information, the Minister of Transport, they are already making.
Yes, I know information.
The Minister of Transport, Ben, the guy commission was 18-0.
18-0.
Yeah, another minister got 18-16. Can you imagine? Minister got rejected 18-16.
But Ben, you know what I'm hearing too? I just don't have a choice, because this platform is considered one of the best platforms with independent. We don't agree on everything. This is not scripted, and so it gives them the opportunity to really be themselves and to really have these serious conversations, as opposed to going somewhere where it might be a comfort zone for you. So I hope we continue that, because they know when they come here, we'll give it to you the way we'll give it to you raw. That's how it should be.
Until your money long, till I start again.
Well, guys, it was great. I gotta go.
Google abroad 6 times a year.
I gotta go.
Yeah, but guys, look, it's been a great show. Ben, I saw the tenor issue. The issue right now is
the man got a job to do. Y'all forgot about that?
Who?
Okay, the boy got a job.
No.
From where?
I
don't have a job.
They said it was getting
I run a livestock farm, and I don't have markets. I don't have money.
Yeah.
What is the issue of right now? What is started right now? It's not a tenor issue.
Well, the issue of tenure, I can tell you, the president, I think cabinet met, from my intelligence, is that cabinet met. They're waiting for the confirmation of the justice minister. If I were a betting man, I would bet that these people will stay in place. I don't know for sure 100%, but I think from what I've been told, some of the president's strong legal advisors, not Buju Keita, because I think Buju Keita didn't mean well for the president. But I think other legal advisors have told the president this thing is a little messy. You don't need all of this distraction in your first 100 days. I'm hearing senators have also put their foot down that they're not going to entertain confirmation hearings about, for nominees who have been appointed to tenured positions that are currently occupied. They, except the people have resigned, if they're in tenure, if there's no cause for them to be removed, they should be allowed to go ahead and exhaust their tenure.
And when they're gonna appoint it, when they appoint that man, Ben, that man, when they appoint that guy,
who
the guy who about the money, when they appoint that guy, the guy who would regulate the tenure, the code of conduct.
So Tommy, don't give me the ombudsman, right? So we have a joke. Tommy is still trying to figure out how to pronounce ombudsman. So I told you, I said, don't go chop on the radio. Don't go chop on the radio.
But I think Ben, I'm hearing similar thing. But some of them, they're being hypocritical about their views. I mean, publicly they would say they were saying something else. Some of these senators,
of course, no, that one not true.
Yeah,
that one not true. But you know what? You know the good thing about it, Winfred, our pregnancy, it can kind of front.
Yeah, that's true.
In the front. The ones who are sincere about it are making it clear that they're going to have the discussion in open session.
Yeah,
and everybody will have an opportunity to state their position on the record for people to see. Because we know there's a lot of people playing games in the back.
Yeah. There's a lot of games being played.
My view is, I think President Boakai will go ahead and remove all those internal positions. I think
I've never been appointed anyway.
No.
The process.
The Governance Commission, Professor Larry Toba has been appointed there. The EPA, Dr. Imaya Kwagro has been appointed as acting head. The LTA announcement has been made. They remove all the commissioners or those are turning places also. So he has to remain presidential. And to withdraw those nominations, by far it shows in the eyes of the public, like even if you look at Machiavellian, I mean,
but that's why
like a weak leader now.
No, that's
one will just. So I think it was an error to rush with the with the
but that is the reason why they're doing this.
The boys in the court of the Senate.
More than likely they will, because that's the reason why they're going to rely on this commission. You saw a statement from the press secretary that this whatever panel or whatever he's naming, are going to advise him. But again, like I said, he's trying to find a safe landing, guys. You got to understand the way the presidency, right?
They're trying to find a safe landing. They broke the law.
But Robert, the people are not confirmed yet. So that's the good news, right? They haven't taken.
If they allow them to, they will break the law. That's what I'm saying. The same law they were against.
But that's why we got checks and balance, right? That's why we have the Senate to confirm them. The Senate, from what I understand, key senators are saying they're not going to entertain that confirmation hearing. The executive mansion has issued kind of like a quasi statement to say the president is going to be, a committee has been set up or a panel has been set up or something has been set up, and they're going to advise the president accordingly. The president, Campbell, to your point, the president has withdrew several nominees. I don't think this is going to be a problem. If it gets to the point where he is advised that this is not the way, Garrison Yelu, who is at the Governance Commission, has already threatened that he's going to the Supreme Court. So, it's a whole messy thing that I don't think they need at this point in time. So we're going to wait and see what happens.
Whoever you believe, don't believe.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I got to run. I got to run, guys.
All right.
Henry, take it. Thank you, guys. Great interview.
Man, I tell you, this is all the time we have to be with you on a weekend presentation here on the closing argument. The time stands at exactly 15 minutes up to the hour 1 o'clock. It has been very fascinating, educative, and interactive. Join us next week for another splendid edition of the closing argument. I've been here. My name is Henry Jara. Do join us next week for another edition. Let me say hi up to the team there at Hot FM 107.9 for relaying this program, and the team there at Truth FM 96.9 in Nimba County or Secretary and other affiliate radio stations for also relaying this program. For on behalf of the team, my name is Henry Jara. Bye bye from my end. I give love to